This week, Russia
Yo, what's up?
So I really enjoy Lomez's concept of the longhouse, which he popularized in February 2023 with this article from First Things, where he describes the problem with modern society, in particular politics, is that it has been
I'm doing pretty okay,
in,
Wandering Mason.
It has been given over to the reign of the, I guess what I'm going to call toxic femininity of a certain kind of woman, not all women, and these women are, through their own projected fears and insecurities, inflicting a very tyrannical, devouring feminine energy into public life, and this is having serious knock-on effects. And actually, I think what this is giving rise to is a desire for the return of patriarchy, a desire for the return of confident, morally forward-looking men, so that many women in our society can actually feel that things are being taken care of, as in every generation up to pretty much this one, they had been able to feel. Because if you think back all throughout history, men were the ones actually in control of things.
I'm eating broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and tofu.
And doing things and dealing with problems, and so the women were able and had to be able to rely upon them, and this upward pressure made men competent and ready to take moral responsibility for the things they did, and that means willing to assert moral authority. And in the modern liberal era, what men aren't really willing to do is assert moral authority that is parochially theirs. They can play to the liberal outgroup politics that this kind of toxic femininity uses and trades in, want it in the fact that they're voting for not and women are life expectancy.
This shit was fucking hilarious. These crazy whack job Muslim immigrants went nuts inside a fucking airport and started randomly attacking people. They were beating the fucking shit out of 2 female officers. And then, because somebody snapped a photo of this cop kicking one of the perpetrators in the head, there's all this bullshit about, oh, police being racist again to Muslims. And then nobody actually asked why the hell the cops were arresting this guy in the first place.
I remember that a year ago at Manchester Airport, this video came out, and you can see this chap saying it's fully justified. Well, we'll talk about how that was fully justified.
Hard Rock Casino opened in Ottawa. I don't gamble, so...
The video was of a Muslim man on the floor, restrained, and he turns his head towards this police officer, and this police officer jumps nervously and boots him in the head and then stomps on him. And everyone was like, Jesus Christ, that's a bit full on, isn't it? What did he do to deserve that? And of course, the Muslim side was like, well, this is just extreme violence against an unarmed Muslim man. This is Islamophobia. The new Arab, if you're a Muslim in a UK airport, Expect the worst from the police. Yeah, they're just gonna kick your face in when you're on the floor.
I found a real ladybug.
Okay. I don't know if that's a juvenile. It might be a juvenile bug. But yeah. That is a ladybug. I had some kind of beetle of some sort. Might have been a June bug fly into my helmet when I was cycling, and it felt pretty weird. Tried to take a photo of it. It's not a very good one. Felt weird though. Thanks for the donation, non-wib. I didn't get lottery tickets today, no.
I agree with the new Arab. That's totally not an irrational, an irrational perspective. That's clearly not informed by what has actually happened based on the context. It's just the cops were like, "Oh my god, a Muslim! Quick, get him to the floor, kick him in the face." And obviously that's not true. But if you guys want to believe that's true and stay in your own countries, well, I don't blame you. Anyway, so the police officer, of course, was to face a criminal investigation over this because it was everywhere for about a month. Like everyone was saying, "My God, this is just this brute of a police officer. How could he?" The independent officer of police contact was getting in on it. They were like, "Yeah, we are piloting." And to be fair, that is their job. But like, I love the assumption of all of these things, right? They've met with one of the men who is involved and his family members. We speak to the other man because this must be a case of unwarranted police brutality. There could have been nothing else. Absolutely nothing else. The officer had been served a disciplinary notice in regards to potential gross misconduct for a number of alleged breaches of police professional standards, including the use of force. Oh, really? I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean criminal charges to follow, but I notice, look, as soon as there's something happens, peaceful protests took place. How dare you kick the crap out of this obviously...
It's always the same crowd of people, by the way. Like, they're just fucking insane communist whack jobs. Like, what kind of fucking idiot would go out to a protest, you know, crying, "Oh, Black Lives Matter, fucking anti-Muslim racism, wah, wah, wah," when you don't even know why the fucking cops attacked him in the first place? Like, you have no idea why the arrest happened. You have no idea why they reacted in that way. Like, a lot of these people are also, you know, professional protesters, quote unquote. They're getting paid by, like, George Soros for whatever fucking reason. I have no idea why he likes doing this. Chinese Communist Party, you name it. There's clearly some money coming in from Iran and Qatar for some of these things.
Innocent Muslim man. How dare you, sir? And, I mean, notice that a lot of them are, of course, in fact, most of these are just co-ethnics. So they're like, "Oh, one of ours, is it? One of ours being mistreated, quote unquote. We'd better go out and protest." What do you do? Don't know. We don't know anything, actually. And that was the point. Nobody knew anything, apart from the footage, right? Weird how this came out instantly. And that was it. And that's all anyone knew. But
a few times randomly I checked my bank statements, and saw there was like $800 charged to my card. And I'm like, "Jasmine, what the fuck is this?" And she's like, "Oh, I guess that's a little much. Yeah, cancel the fucking order."
Yeah, that was pretty ridiculous. Thanks for the donation, Vegan Gains Funny Moments. I'm not on the diet break anymore. Today's, you know, today I'm back on the diet. Kind of sucks, to be honest. I was like extremely hypoglycemic earlier, which is the worst fucking feeling in the world to me. I don't even mind being hungry so much. It's the like hypoglycemia that I end up getting, the fainting. That's the shit that I really fucking hate.
Police force did say 3 officers have been taken to hospital, one of whom suffered a broken nose, and 4 men were arrested on suspicion of assault and affray. Right, so they hired Ahmed Yaqub, the best Muslim solicitor that money can buy, and apparently his condition worsened. It's all bad. It's all bad. The police officer might face criminal charges, and of course, the teenager kicked in the face by Manchester police is traumatized. Oh my god, that poor traumatized boy, said Ahmed Yaqub. Well, I can't help but feel he's like the Muslim version of Lionel Hutz or something, or like what's the guy from Breaking Bad? Why is his name escaping me now? You guys can remind me. Here's what this came out to. And it's just like, right, okay. So Ahmed Yaqub being like, yes, this is Islamophobia, this is racism. See, he was charged with money.
What a surprise.
Now, I can't play this footage because it's insanely violent. But what happened is one of the men who's being arrested here was headbutting someone, just some randomly. So he went up and attacked someone in an airport. And so the police go to arrest him, and there's a massive brawl. 2 of these police officers are women, and this guy is just punching them square in the face, and his brothers as well, or friends or whatever they were.
Dude, of all places to have just a ridiculous amount of female police officers, the UK has to be like the dumbest fucking country to have any female cops. Just because of the amount of like fucking Muslim and African immigrants you have? Like, are you insane? All the people causing trouble, they're either like fucking drunk at pubs and, they're pissed off that their, soccer team fucking lost a match. Or it's Muslim and African immigrants. All people who are going to like fucking fight you and punch you in the face. But yeah, let's all hire like tons and tons of female police officers. I don't know why. I think this is honestly intentional. It's some like communist brain rot horse shit. These women aren't meant to actually arrest anybody. They're just there to be there. But they're not actually expected to fucking arrest anybody. It's fucking crazy.
Punching them square in the face until eventually the man who you see at the beginning finally on the floor, and the guy turns because it looks like he's literally just come out of this huge fight, and he boots him in the head and stops him to keep him down, to keep him from attacking. So these wasn't Islamophobia. It was he's a violent thug, and he was beating the living daylights out of people. It wasn't just because he was a Muslim. It was because he was a violent thug who thought he could get away with beating the crap out of people. He was starting fights. He was attacking people, and then he attacked the cops. It wasn't because it's not black and Muslim minorities of the disproportionate violence they face. No, you are the disproportionate threat. That's what this comes down to. And Nadine here has written this just out of co-ethnic solidarity. She knew nothing about the subject. She didn't care. She was like, my team, your team. My team good, your team bad. And I'm sorry, this sort of crap is just completely unacceptable. None of them knew what was going on. The protests, our team, your team. And we're going to come out for our team, no matter what they've done to your team. And there's literally nothing that they can do that will get them to not support their own team. Their team, right or wrong, no matter what. And of course, our team is like, well, yeah, we'll arrest that cop. He's in trouble now based on, well, nothing. And of course, their Lionel Hutz, their Saul Goodmans come out and go like, yep. It's all the evil white supremacy power structures, whatever. These poor innocent angels are traumatized. No,
Hey Richard. Your favorite viewer is here. How are you today? I don't feel like trolling today, so you can relax. Just gonna chill and chat. I'm gonna work out while I watch in my bedroom gym tongue. I'm debating whether to do biceps or legs. You feeling better yet?
I'm feeling fine. Fine like wine. But thanks for the donation, CDG. Hope you have a good workout.
Absolutely not, right? And again, I can't.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Dude, like, it's such a joke. The amount of fucking... Like, it's every fucking female cop, by the way, that does this. Like, if any of them get punched in the face or something, they immediately start crying and freaking out. Like, they're just fucking useless. It's not like a dude, if they get punched in the face, they're like, oh, fuck, now you're gonna get it. Like, every fucking... Like, these are grown fucking adults. And they all just get punched in the face and then start crying like fucking 5-year-old kids who just skinned their knee. It's just pathetic. Why the fuck hire any of these women for, you know, like, actual police work?
I can't show you this footage. Maybe I can scrub through it a bit. But you've got this woman here whose nose is just completely broken.
Like, look at how pathetic that is.
And she's like, it's blood all over her face, howling, absolutely howling, and it's horrible. She's at one point, you know, she's like, he's fucked up my face, and they're like, yeah, well, to be honest with you, he kind of had, and it was just, you know, she's, sorry, who's the traumatized party here? Is it the poor boy who ended up getting what he deserved, or is it this woman who really should? And just a quick aside, I just don't think that women should be frontline police officers. You know, I just don't think that they should. I mean, this is just, it's just terrible. Just absolutely terrible. And I just, they're not prepared to deal with it. I mean, she's like 5'4" or something. You know, you can see she's a dainty, normal-sized woman. And, like...
Hey VG. How's it going? Do you wanna come hang out with me and my friends in a hook lounge in Ottawa? Also, are you still taking THC edibles?
No, I'm not taking THC edibles. And, no, I have no interest in going to a hookah lounge. Thanks for the donation, Skur.
There's a particular frame in this that captures it really perfectly. Where he's just, I mean, look at that.
That's a good point. Yeah, there are kids who've gotten beaten to the point where they're bleeding from their nose, and even then they don't cry. But yeah, these grown adult women, as soon as they get punched in the face, like, it's just pathetic. Why in the hell would you ever hire a woman to be, like, a frontline police officer? It's just such a liability. Like, I'm sorry, but it's just a fucking joke. They should probably have a requirement, to get recruited into the police, where you have to survive, like, a 2 or 3 minute sparring session or something, like with a boxer or something like that, because, like, my god, it's actually, like, pathetic and humiliating seeing these women just bawl their eyes out and cry like little fucking children just because they got hit in the face.
Just, here's one woman, boom, right, and then there was another. Yeah, there we go. Buff. That's when
Well,
he breaks her nose.
evolutionarily, a woman would never be in that situation on purpose. That's the funny part. Modern people are stupid. Men are built for this kind of work. Women should be like detectives or something that requires minimal physicality and just brains.
Yeah. I don't know why in this day and age that's a controversial statement, but if any woman disagrees with me, come fight me over it. Women are just as capable as men are. Female police officers can arrest a criminal and beat up the bad guys. Okay, come arrest me. You think you're a badass chick? Alright, I'll fight you. You know, just play pretend cop, get a pair of handcuffs. All you have to do is restrain me, and I get to punch you in the face and do whatever I have to do to not, you know, get handcuffed. So let's see you do it. Just stupid. Yeah, society is just dumb. This is, like, by the way, this is communist brain rot. When Mao Zedong took over, you know, and created the whole communist revolution, one of his big ideas, which actually panned out in far as, you know, insofar as popular support for the party, was to treat women as literal equals to men. And since in China at that time women didn't have any rights, that got literally half the population in support of the Chinese Communist Party. And that's just, you know, this crap that you're seeing here. Oh, women are just as capable as men, blah, blah, blah. It's just communist propaganda bullshit. Dodo donate $2. Let me see.
The Saturn V with full reusability. And full and rapid reusability. So it's the booster and the ship.
I thought this was AI at first, but yeah, he has the strangest proportions I've ever fucking seen.
Coming back to the launch site.
Right. Should we take a look at what's going on in there? So, so as far as, you know, you're talking about even like version.
We're version 1.
Yeah, that is really weird.
She told me to go back to where I came from.
Your driving habits,
do you see that?
Because we don't drive the same in Oregon. We're fucking kind and we make space. Okay. And as someone who's from here as well, I'm so tired of people driving like you just did.
All right, get out of my face.
Constant.
Get out of my face.
Admit you're fucking wrong and that it's not a race thing. Admit that you're driving.
Admit
like
you're
an
white.
asshole.
Admit you have a colonizer mindset.
It is not about race.
Yeah, tell them it. Yell at me.
It is not about race.
Yeah,
it is.
That's the
problem here. If you want things to change, when you fuck up,
so it's on me.
Do
so it's
not
on me.
call the race card.
Don't fucking be emotional. Do not call the. Shut up. And don't even get in her face. Do not get in her face.
You're taking out your pain and oppression on me right now. Stay out. Stay out. Stay out of it.
How do people live like this? Like, just being a fucking whiny bitch just constantly. Holy fuck. Yeah, I'm just not gonna go to Portland.
We are, and it's important. It's fucking important. Give it a moment. If you want anything to change, if you want you may. No! That's fucked up. And you told.
Remember when, like, Portland used to be cool? And now it's just all insane, crazy, homeless crack addicts and Karens. Yeah, that's a shame.
Huh? Why everybody is feeling me?
Somebody what?
Why everybody feeling me?
Who are you?
Who are you?
I'm Speed. Who are you?
I'm Doron.
You're what?
Doron.
Where are you from?
Israel.
Free.
What a fucking faggot.
That's Zona. She's spitting on us. She is spitting on us. I spit on you, but...
An Islamist in Tokyo began attacking and spitting an Israeli family on vacation. Japanese security woman was in total shock at this repulsive behavior.
Zona is Dayanet. But Zona, איזה זבל.
Japan is probably going to be the first country to like flat out ban any and all Islamic immigration, including tourists. I can fucking guarantee you.
Why did your Prophet Muhammad marry a 9-year-old girl? How can you call Islam the perfect religion when children were being married to a grown man? First of all, judging a 7th century marriage by using 21st century standards is totally unfair. Because at that time,
I love these retarded cop-outs. So, one, just because somebody did it back then, that doesn't mean it's ethical. And two, it was not normal for people to have sex with children back then. You can look at, like, correspondence of people in Europe who had, you know, these marriages that were just business relationships, and they'd marry, like, an underage girl. They would wait until they're at least in their mid-teens to consummate the marriage. Yeah, Prophet Muhammad, well, I'll wait until she's 9.
It was common across many civilizations for girls to marry as soon as they reached puberty. And according to Jewish law at that time, girls could be promised for marriage from age 3.
Yeah, that doesn't mean they were fucking them when they were fucking 9 years old, retard.
And married after reaching puberty. And even in Christian Europe, King Richard II of England married.
He didn't have sex with her when she was fucking 6.
A 6-year-old girl
What a fucking
named
idiot.
Isabella of Valois in the year of 1396. So why do you...
Again, these marriages weren't consummated until these girls were at least in their mid-teens.
accuse Islam
Like, there's a big difference between fucking a 9-year-old and fucking a 16-year-old.
for this when it was normal in many other cultures at that time. Also,
It was not normal in many other cultures. The Prophet Muhammad is just a sick fuck just like you are, trying to justify child rape. Go fuck yourself. Go back to your own fucking country where you can rape all the kids you want.
children grew and matured differently at that time because they lived naturally with health.
Oh, 9-year-olds back then, they had much wider vagina because, you know, they were eating good, wholesome food. None of this McDonald's, which made their vagina very small. Okay, I've seen enough. These people are just whack jobs. Oh my god, what is with all these fucking
we have
noise?
like Eid, we celebrate that.
Oh, that's cool. Do you guys have like a big Eid all together? Do you guys
Yeah,
have Eid?
yeah, we do that.
Oh, that's
That is.
I have a question.
Okay, yeah.
Is it like being vegan?
Sorry?
Is it like being vegan? No, you eat meat. Do you eat meat and like veg?
Alright, thanks for the donation, Dodo.
Back in the day, putting women in harm's way would be offensive. Even during World War II, children, boys, were sent to war as a last resort instead of women. Women are not supposed to be doing this kind of stuff. Few exceptions like female UFC fighters.
Was it like King Henry or King Arthur the something who went to battle when he was like 14? King Arrow to face, what was his name? Prince Henry. Yeah, who's the future King Henry V. He got struck in the face by an arrow when he was in battle at 14 years old, and he actually fought for 3 hours while there was an arrow lodged in his face, and it was about an inch away from his brain. He almost died, and there was a doctor who came up with literally invented a new tool to extract arrows to save him. So, yeah, a 14-year-old boy can get shot in the face with an arrow that almost lodges itself in his fucking brain, and then continues to fight in battle for 3 hours afterwards while there's an arrow sticking out of his fucking face. And then you have a full-grown fucking woman who's like, what, in her mid-20s? Roughly? Who gets hit in the face once by some fucking foreign dude. Like, yeah, women are not fucking fit for that line of work, clearly. Thanks for the donation, CDG.
But even in the case of strong women, in UFC for example, they would still never be put up against someone like your size for example. Even the strongest, most violent women are at the level of a below-average man at best, in a life-or-death situation.
Yes. Thanks for the donation, CDG.
Just a solid left hook, as if he's dealing with a man. Because he doesn't care. Because he's a little fucking psychopath. And we are stupid enough to put women on the front line of dealing with these people. Like, they don't respect you. They don't care about you. And when they do something terrible to you, their guys will come out and protest and call you racist, right? Their guys will literally come out and protest. Their solicitors will come out and tell you that they're the victims of what they've done and what you had to do in response. They will say you're just a bunch of racists. They will say this is Islamophobia. And they will say that this was not justified whatsoever. But it's like, sorry, when for some reason a year later the video comes out and we actually get to see what they've done, no, absolutely not. And frankly, probably shouldn't have stopped. Probably should have kept kicking, really, shouldn't he? Right? But of course, people are asking, well, why did this take a year to come out? And that's a great question, isn't it? It's a great question. On the day, we get him being...
It's a cover-up. The UK government and the police deliberately cover all this shit up. You know, for, like, stupid political reasons, because they love sucking off Muslim cock constantly. Even though everyone literally hates them. The government is always like, we have to protect the Muslims. Oh, fuck, what are we gonna do? There's Muslims in an airport attacking women. Oh, fuck, 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 fuck. Hide the evidence, claim there's an investigation, sign this paperwork so that it can't get released to the public, and then, let out this one photograph of somebody kicking the Muslim guy. Like, that's literally how they think. It's just fucking insane. Dodo donates $2, but VG, women have emotional intelligence. Yeah, sure they fucking do. Dear God, filthy Russian savages explain how they think.
Нужно ли России больше новых территорий, помимо тех, что сейчас у нас есть?
Да. Желательно украинских.
Желательно вот где-то вот до, наверное, до Испании, вот так вот от Европы, вот. И все, в целом будет заебись. Вот самое главное Сапсан доебашить, Одесса-Барселона.
They're not going to be laughing when they're forcibly conscripted, you know, at some point.
Вот, чтобы вот такой вот был. И Москва-Одесса тоже Сапсан.
Yeah, they're literally going to, like, they're not even going to be given socks. They're not even going to be given any proper fucking, you know, military gear. They're going to be in tennis shoes that they found from some random house that don't fit them. They're not going to be given a working rifle. And then they're going to be told to run out into an open field where they're either going to get shot by snipers or blown up by a fucking drone. And they're saying all this stupid shit. Oh, yes, glory to Russia. We're going to take control over all Europe because Russia's so good. Like, okay, right. They're all alcoholics, by the way. Like, Russians are some of the most unproductive fucking people on the planet. Like, dear God, the amount of oil reserves they have that they just don't dig up out of the ground to, like, actually sell or anything. They're all alcoholics. They can't do anything. They're just the most complacent fucking morons on the fucking planet. Like, who the hell would ever agree to run out into a fucking field where you're just gonna get blown up by a fucking drone? Nobody. Only Russians who are just fucking alcoholics.
So what's it going to be, Charlie Kirk? Can we pan to the audience? I'm curious. How many of you raise your hand think this is a big deal, the Epstein thing? Would you raise your hand? So, I mean, every hand has gone up. So what's it going to be, Charlie Kirk? Can we pan to the audience? I'm curious.
Yeah. Big backfire.
We lose less weight and we lose it slower, even when we're following the diet, than our white women counterparts. It's literally that the racism that you're experiencing and the struggle to make ends meet actually means the diet don't work for you the same diets as white women.
Well, stay
Would there be
fat.
any sort of preparations that we could see on the monetary side that would let us know that they're preparing to invade Taiwan?
I don't think they're going to do it suddenly because the whole financial system runs through the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So your bank gets a purchase and my bank gets that I'm going to get a credit. The United States just disproportionately controls that. And that they can't live with. They can't live without being able to pay suppliers and countries. Russia actually did quite a bit in preparation for the invasion, and we see China doing that. Maybe they're selling treasury bills. We don't know, exactly, but I don't think it's going to be something they'll do suddenly. Maybe Trump will bring down the markets and then there's nothing to save, but they don't want to be the ones to bring down the markets and to cause a global crash. I mean, the Europeans are working on it too, by the way. They're actually forming a central bank digital currency that's moving quite a bit faster than I thought it would be. And that's actually one of the reasons that they're doing it for international payments.
Would there be any
get to?
Okay, I'm not an expert on Ukraine. Let me.
Okay, I'll watch that in a minute. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
I feel like girls who want to do manly jobs have mental ill or are brainwashed to think they should do it. It makes no sense evolutionarily, logically, or within social history. It's just like a guy wanting to work in a nursery taking care of babies. Weird.
Usually when you see women who do actually belong in like very physical male dominated spaces, they're like clearly more masculine. Like they have broader faces, they have more muscle mass, like they look more masculine. There's actually a pretty huge correlation between being lesbian and being a successful professional athlete, and there's also a big correlation between being a successful athlete and stuff like polycystic ovarian syndrome that fucks with their hormones. So unsurprisingly, like, yeah, generally speaking, the women that do better in more male-dominated sort of fields, especially when it comes to physicality, they are more masculine. So, yeah. Thanks for the donation, CDG.
And then die of cardiac arrest from being so obese after that.
Yep. You can make up all the excuses you want, but at the end of the day, you're still fat. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
Get to Ukraine next. I'm going to back up first to, again, add a framework, which I think helps understand. I think, well, at least helps me understand, or I think I understand.
Yeah, ladybugs
In
are
my
cool.
lifetime, it was dominated entirely by the Cold War until that ended, circa 1991, when Soviet Union falls apart, or 1994, when all Russian troops come out of Eastern Europe. You pick your date somewhere, and then it ended. And then we had this wonderful inter-Cold War period when the United States and Russia and China, by the way, because this is when Deng Xiaoping is having his reforms, we stopped funding insurgencies and countering each other's insurgencies all around the world, which meant all of a sudden you got this compounded growth happening in the global south. And it was a pretty good 2 decades compared to other decades, compared to all the massive proxy wars that were going on in the Cold War. I believe we're in Cold War number 2. sad to say. It is going to depress growth rates because we're going to be spending time countering each other and fighting each other instead of building societies. And the time frame I would pick for this is somewhere 2012, 14-ish. 2012 is when Vladimir Putin, Vlad the Bad, decides he's going to break term limits and come back. And he puts down protests in Russia, but Russians don't like that. And then Xi Jinping, who's going to be the neo-Maoist. That's when they come in. And then you can go.
Looks like Xi Jinping's going to get outed from power.
To 2014, when Vlad the Bad doesn't do little things as he'd done formerly in Chechnya and Georgia, but goes big time into Ukraine, taking major hunks of territory. And it took the West a while to figure out that this was the case. We're in Cold War too. I think it's the Ukrainian 2022 invasion that's just a confirming piece of evidence, and we'll see if Xi Jinping tries to work his magic on Taiwan. So
the government loves Islam. Near where I live, it is difficult to get a permit from the council to do legitimate business, yet they allow this Islamic/Scientology cult to operate.
The evidence then.
Okay.
I'm taking their goodwill of it, aren't I?
Ideally,
you're just trying to get clicks for your YouTube channel. That's all you're doing.
I got enough clicks.
That's
Trust
all you're
me,
doing.
I got
honestly.
enough clicks. I get enough clicks. Officer, don't get involved in something that doesn't involve the police.
I'm here.
What do you mean you're here? So
I'm here, so I'm involved.
Yeah, that's why they wear these little beanies, mate. Try to fucking be like Jesus. You ain't Jesus, and you ain't Muhammad, and you ain't no Muslims, mate.
Oh, as in you were going to call us? Yeah.
I was just about to call you, literally.
And
but anyway.
Called on the 9th.
No, not yet, but.
Those drones are pretty cool.
Oh, as in you were going to call us?
Yes.
All right.
And speaking of female police officers, aren't they the ones who are more likely to negligent discharge their firearm? Wasn't there a case a couple years ago where some dyke cope shot and killed nigger 'cause she thought her gun was a taser?
Yeah.
What standards would you give for a strong bicep curl? How much weight for intermediate, advanced and elite? Can you talk about what you think strength standards should be in all of the main lifts and also like common upper body lifts like raise and triceps?
No, I don't care. Just look it up online. Thanks for the donation, CDG. Yeah, there was a female officer who shot a guy to death because she claims she accidentally pulled her service pistol instead of the taser that she intended to use. Very bizarre mistake. There was also a woman who shot a guy who was holding a Nintendo Wiimote. She mistook the Wiimote for a gun. There's a lot of those weird instances. There was also another chick recently who shot at a mirror. She saw her reflection in a mirror and shot the mirror. There's a lot of those. I don't know if there's any stats showing female officers have a disproportionate amount of negligent discharges, but I've seen a fair number of just bizarre, negligent discharges with female cops, like more than I've seen male. I did see a guy shoot at a suspect in a car because he heard an acorn drop from a tree and he thought it was like a gunshot from a silenced pistol. Fucking retarded.
Yeah, Kid Boo. Also there was one last year I think, where a guy had a concealed carry and a female cop went to take it out of his belt and accidentally shot him in the leg with his own pistol.
Yeah, that was a recent one. Yeah, the guy was a legal gun owner. He said, I have a firearm on me, and then the female cop went to pull his firearm, and then she pressed the trigger and shot him. And then she never apologized. She just walked off. Never said sorry. Like, what a bitch, dude. Fucking retarded. Thanks for the donation, CDG.
I presume you're here for me, or us, or not?
We're here for a drone flying across, yeah.
Right.
So, sort of, just see if there's anything going on with it.
I've been flying my drone here today, legally.
Yeah.
Right, keeping my line of sight, etc. They've got a drone up.
Okay.
Seen them launch their drone. My drone's been over the garden there.
Yeah.
And I've watched him take off. And at that point, I thought, obviously, it's quite dangerous to have two up if you haven't spoken to each other and to agree where you're going to fly. Yeah. He's purposely flown directly at me. They're everywhere, trying to get my drone to come down.
Right.
Got it all on this video. I've got it all on video. Another part he's done, he's been behind the tree there. The furthest tree up to the house from here. Right. You know,
I don't know, you know what I mean? It's probably your fault, that, isn't he? If he's busy healing someone else, he might not have time to heal you today. True,
you with me?
So, yes.
Right, guys.
Yeah, this is just boring.
Oh, we're in a different world. It is going to take us time to reassess. It is going to take us time to build the institutions to deal with all of this.
For me today.
Now to go back to the disappointing wars, these long wars.
Yeah, the article you linked is broken, so I can't read that. Thanks for the donation, though, dude.
The World War II generation, the veterans who ran the Cold War on all sides, were really alert to the costs of global war. Brezhnev was a veteran. Most of our presidents all were, all the way through George Bush Sr., right? And the Chinese running the show were veterans of the Long March. They knew all about warfare and realized it's your last choice. You don't want to do it. And so during the Cold War, most of the time, the big powers were quite careful to fight proxy wars, right? Have other people there. And this is a tragedy for the global South, because where were the proxies? There. Where were the dying by the millions? There. So there.
Yeah, boring.
Being kicked in the head because he had decided, I'm going to beat up 2 women, hospitalize 3 people, and it'll take, the big dude. And so if you saw a police officer being overwhelmed by some criminal thug, the public would just generally step in to help. But sorry, why would I want to step in to help when I'm the bottom rung of a 2-tier society? You've chosen the first tier of society to be this guy, this kind of person, a Muslim man, an immigrant minority Muslim. You've chosen them to be the top tier of society, and they don't respect your authority. They don't love you for it. They don't accept you. And when you finally cross paths with them and decide, right, okay, whatever this guy's doing is just too much, he's going to punch you in the face, and he's not going to feel any regret. He's not going to feel guilty. He's not going to regret this. The only regret will be that he got caught, that Mr. Yakub couldn't get him out of prison. Like, that's assuming he even gets any prison time. Incidents and bullshit like this. I'm not stepping in to help. Sorry, that's not my job. You were assuming that even though you made us second-class citizens, that there would still, and you consent to the government bringing in all of these foreigners, there would still.
Dude, why in the fuck do the cops have this idea that random people are going to stop to help them? Everyone was on their phones. Nobody helped me. You're a cop. Like, do we get money for arresting the bad guy for you? Like, fuck off. These are the same, like, by the way, these are the same fuck faces, the same bitch fucking cock-sucking assholes who fucking take your guns away. They take your fucking guns away because the fucking gay retard politicians say, guns are too dangerous, innit? And then these fuckers want you to help stop a crime. Right. I'm gonna jump in and get stabbed to death and get my throat slashed open because you're the motherfucker who decided to take my fucking guns away and I can't fucking conceal carry in public. for just these sorts of circumstances. Go fuck yourself. Eat shit. I ain't helping no fucking cops. You're the motherfuckers who try to steal my fucking guns. Suck it. I hope you fucking get stabbed. See how you like it.
Weak shit.
Fucking retarded.
I mean, if it was an emergency, I would help. Say the cop was gonna get killed, but you can't expect anyone to help you, regardless if you're a cop or not. Also, yes, agreed, if we're expected to help, then we should all have the same rights as cops.
Yeah, I'm not helping cops. I'll help them when they let me carry guns, just like they do. If not, then, okay, you're on your own. If I see a cop getting attacked by a gang of dipshits, have fun, I'm taking out my phone.
Also, what if the family sues you for wrongful death or something? You're putting yourself in a huge liability by getting involved. So there's no incentives and all downsides.
Well, yeah, that's another aspect to it, but, like, dude, yeah, I'm not helping any fucking cop. They're the same fucking cocksuckers who just take away your rights, steal your guns, you know, do the big bad government's bidding for no fucking reason, so they can eat shit. Suck my ass. Thanks for the donation, though, CDG.
Dramatically stepped up its aerial assault on Ukraine, launching more than 700 drones on Wednesday alone. Ukraine is fighting back with its own strikes, and Russia says it shot down more than 150 drones last night. President Trump, meanwhile, says he is not happy with Russian President Putin and promised to send more U.S. weapons to Ukraine. Our senior national security correspondent Charlie Daggett joins me now from the Pentagon. And Charlie, Trump is teasing there may be an announcement on Monday regarding Russia. What do we know about this?
Well, Maurice, it's been described as a major announcement. About what isn't clear. It might be officially announcing the proposal that would see NATO partners supplying Ukraine with American weapons. NATO would then be paying for those weapons as a sort of backfill. So it avoids the U.S. from directly supplying Ukraine with weapons. It also comes on a day that his main envoy to Ukraine, retired General Keith Kellogg, arrives in Kyiv for talks. At the same time, and maybe hand in hand, it might be an announcement on serious sanctions against Russia. We know that he's considering a draft of a bill that would see a 500% tariff on any country currently buying Russian oil and gas. He said he's considering it and that he's running out of patience, using stronger words than that, with President Putin.
Yeah, he really seemed to change his tone on Putin this week. Kind of interesting to note there. What about these weapons? What kind of weapons are we talking about? And how important are they to Ukraine?
More than anything, Ukrainians need air defenses, and now more than ever, you talked about that bombardment. I mean, the Russians have been pummeling Ukrainian cities at levels and a ferocity not seen before in this war, and that says a lot. They know Ukraine is running out of those defenses, particularly those Patriot defense systems, which are able to intercept.
Yeah, because Trump won't send them the air defense missiles. Like, it's crazy. Fuck Trump, bro. Just, what a bad idea electing that guy.
Except Russia's larger, faster ballistic missiles. Secretary of State, also acting national security advisor, Marco Rubio, suggested countries like Germany and Spain, just to mention two, have those Patriot systems and could provide those with Ukraine, and again, backfill them with American systems and artillery. They can't get enough artillery. We learned a couple of days ago that after a short pause, the United States has resumed that flow of artillery to Ukraine.
Just a few more seconds here, Charlie. Any new developments in the negotiations?
Why? Like, just why did he cut off aid support and then decide, send it out? Trump's just mentally ill. He's like old retard man or something.
Well, there's no shortage.
All right, Daniel Larson prison arc. This should be meant to you.
Of reasons for Daniel Larson to be put behind bars.
I sent unsolicited pictures of myself to Grace when she was a minor and to other minors.
The actual reason for his charges can be roughly placed at the beginning of 2024. On the 8th of January, he posted this to his YouTube channel.
If I don't get the documentation proving that I'm trespassed, it's all fake.
This video was actually uploaded twice, under the titles Hotel Security claiming that I am trespassed without legal proof or paperwork by law enforcement, and Daniel Larson getting threatened and harassed by hotel security at Denver International Airport. Given his propensity to go to places like airports and malls to sleep or score some food, they're the most likely cause cause of this minor incident. The only additional information about the lead up to this was text posts on his TikTok where he claimed to be working with the FBI against his trolls, and that he had $600 stolen from him. Although he was officially booked the same day, it doesn't look like he was kept in custody for any significant amount of time, meaning he was let go with a warning. A warning that he didn't listen to, as on the very next day, he went right back to the airport so that he could go to the Canvas Credit Union to see about his bank account being drained by DLR Records and Entertainment. As you can see, the initially claimed $600 turns into $950 in a single day. How violent are these interest rates on Danderson? In reality, this is the same fake banking app he's always used to make this kind of post, but usually it's to get people's sympathy and donations. This time, it seems like he actually tricked himself into thinking he was getting his real bank account drained, which led him back to the airport where he'd already been threatened with being trespassed, like a moth to a flame. The only archive of the live stream he did on the 9th comes from the YouTube channel Larsonian Institute, which gave context for the footage in the description. At approximately 4 p.m., Daniel was at the Canvas Credit Union inside the Denver International Airport, claiming that his original intent was to get a debit card. During the live stream on TikTok, there were 3 people visible. Daniel was seated in a chair, charging his phone and streaming, while a police officer was standing before him, along with airport security and a female who appeared to be working for the bank. Earlier in the stream, Daniel says multiple times, "I'd be more than happy to just leave," and the officer claims that he was already asked multiple times to leave and didn't comply. During the interaction, Daniel mentions his probation, and it's discussed that the officer will tell Daniel's probation officer what will happen. It is not known why the police were involved in the incident. From the footage of the live stream, Daniel surrendered and ended the live after the officer asked him to stand up. Meanwhile, if you take a look at the footage itself, we find out just how bad Daniel's legal situation already was at this point.
So in addition to the 2 warrants that we're going to take you on today, you have 3 additional warrants that are not extraditable out of Denver that you need to go take care of.
I am aware.
Okay, so that's 5.
And then I was also, like I said, I came here to the Canvas Credit Union because I had to.
I'm going to tell you that's not going to fly today. Airport office is going to explain that to you, so we can quit going over that piece of information.
While the airport security officer later mentions that Daniel won't be charged with trespassing for having gone to the bank without a boarding pass, the police officer mentioned a total of 5 warrants on Daniel that aren't extraditable out of Denver, meaning his presence in an airport could indicate a flight risk. Interestingly enough, Daniel is only acting calm during this stream, because he eventually uploaded a few videos of the moments preceding it where he was arguing and trying to justify him being there to the officer.
I just did business here.
Sir.
I'm waiting.
No, you have a boarding pass.
What?
You have a boarding pass.
I was at the Canvas Credit Union.
Sir.
I don't know why you are treating me this way. I went to Canvas Credit Union.
You have ID on you?
I do.
I can see it, please.
But I don't need it. I would be more than happy to leave. I'm not past security.
I asked you that already. Okay? And you chose not to. So we're going to advise you on trespass.
I don't need a trespass. Like this is straight up harassment. I would be more than happy to just leave.
We'll address that here in a minute, but why was some other business?
But I did come from Boulder, Colorado, because I had another appointment, and then
Where
I went.
was that at?
I'm not obligated to say.
No, you're not. But was it here?
And then I came here. No. And then I have another meeting tomorrow back in Boulder with my probation.
You're on probation?
I'm not obligated to
Actually,
say.
you are. It's part of conditions of your probation.
I am on probation for trespass.
No.
From a different location for a misunderstanding.
As the officer calls it in, he mentions that they were in the airport's chapel and not the credit union, meaning Daniel probably hurried to the chapel when he saw the officer coming for him in an attempt to hide. When this didn't work, he started telling the officer that he was on his way to court anyway, which, if it's not already clear, is an absolute lie. If he's on his way to court, why is he at the airport? It's funny how he randomly rats himself out for being on probation for trespassing while he's trying to convince this cop that he wasn't trespassing this time. Following the incident, Daniel's record in Denver included 2 offenses: failure to appear in court and destruction of private property, with a court date scheduled for late January. His bond here is listed at being $500, but it appears he was released on a personal recognizance bond, which is when a defendant is trusted and expected to appear in court and abide by whatever bond conditions are offered. I think anyone remotely familiar with Daniel can attest to this being a terrible mistake.
How, like, what is the point? Like, just talking to the guy for 2 minutes, you'll figure out he's like a complete and utter fucking wacko retard. Why would they even give him bond? Why? Well, he's just gonna violate bond, and then I don't know what's going on with the legal system there, but like this guy is clearly not mentally competent to stand trial or anything. Like, wouldn't he have an attorney granted to him by the state where the attorney would figure out, okay, this guy's like fucked beyond belief? Like, can we get a mental health exam to prove like this guy's just a fucking retard and just put him in an asylum for the rest of his life?
My inspiration behind this haircut, I wanted it to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger got struck by lightning, just like Albert Einstein.
After his release, Daniel immediately took to social media to try and recontextualize what happened, making himself
That looks like the nastiest hot dog of all time.
Look like the victim of persecution. During the stream, the officer informed Daniel that the reason they knew he was holed up in the chapel was because another guy in the chapel had flagged him. You can imagine how easy it must have been to notice a
What a bizarre looking person. This looks like it was made by AI.
and uncapped Daniel Larson trying to hide from the police in the same room as you. In an attempt to get revenge on this guy, he secretly recorded a video of him and uploaded it under the title, "This crazy mentally ill person called the police on me and got me trespassed and arrested today." In the video, the guy seems to exhibit some Tourette's tics, which may be why Daniel described him that way. A few days later, Daniel made a flurry of posts to his YouTube to update his loyal following on his legal status.
I missed Boulder County probation today because I'm out of money from getting arrested at Denver International Airport. I have showed my pay stubs to my probation officers and my case manager out of CU Boulder. I had to turn myself in last week to Denver Police for my warrant from 2020. The Denver County Police Department is aware of my warrants out of California and New York, Manhattan. I am now being told that they are aware of me not paying my taxes and will keep an eye on how much on the Denver County Police Department is now trying to frame.
What taxes would he have to pay? He has no income.
Me and claiming that I am a burglar when nothing has ever happened. I'm being told by law enforcement and probation, no more excuses, housing or jail. The courts are claiming that Grace Vanderwall needs to come to Colorado to the courtroom if she has an issue with anything.
I like how his arrest due to trespassing suddenly morphs into him turning himself in halfway through his uploads, and he just has to conclude it by trying to get Grace Vanderwall to show up in court. Some things never change.
Grace ended up having sex with Jacob Sartorius, and Grace is now pregnant.
I gave you my heart. He also claimed that his arrest caused him to miss his probation appointments, which could be him preemptively coming up with excuses for his inevitable capture due to probation violations, rather than missed appointments. His court date was set for the 23rd of that month. Care to guess what our boy was up to that day?
I am doing a fan meetup today at the Aurora Mall. $20 for unlimited pictures.
Most of his uploads from this day are recorded and posted from this mall, where he announces that he'd started college the day before, which is part of an elaborate ruse conducted by trolls who got on Zoom calls with him and just gave him fake information.
Now, the first king of ancient Texas, his name was Ashid Anfarad, and he was the first king. Now, that's important to remember because that will be on one of the quizzes that we have next week. All right, so if you need to take a screenshot of my presentation.
I think I saw this guy at a museum one time.
He invented.
This guy is going to court. Like, how has nobody figured out he's just retarded?
The Caesar salad. He was the first leader of the United Nations, and he was the first person in the world to use pronouns. All right. Julius Caesar was addicted to nicotine, and you eventually banished all nicotine and nicotine users to Mexico.
Given that Daniel posted pictures of multiple plates of food, he was either with someone that day who paid for the meal, who may be these guys, or he was committing the crime of dine and dashing on the same day he was supposed to attend court. His criminal behavior also seems to have altered the course of his music career, marking his transition from pop to gritty gangster rap.
I have 2 rap songs dropping by March 2024. Don't ever think about dropping a song the same day I drop my music. You will get wiped out financially.
A few weeks passed by before he saw any sign of trouble, until suddenly, as he streamed in the early morning of February 3rd, he seemed pretty rattled.
I might have to go on lockdown. I don't know what that car was doing. That's the 3rd time I've seen the same police officer follow me. It's not like they can do anything. They're not after me. I haven't done anything. So they can't legally do anything.
He tried to calm himself down a bit by talking about what he was going to get for lunch and discussing how college students, whom he refers to as teenagers, were just getting out of class and were causing a ruckus in his area.
Fridays and weekends are terrible. Summer break is good, winter break is good, as long as it's not snowing.
This attempt was not working, as Daniel could be heard breathing heavily and walking faster, exhibiting clear signs of paranoia. Meanwhile, his bird of prey-like eyes darted all around. The one thing that his paranoia didn't seem to affect was his delusions, which remained as strong as ever.
I still need to also come up with $700 starting tomorrow, next week, in the hotel. Well, I have class in an hour. It's the music class, but I don't have the music for it because they wanted me to use BandLab, and if they're not going to go over how to make the song in the class, they just say, oh, here, use this platform, do it. I'm getting so many gifts in this live stream, I might as well get an apartment tomorrow.
The gifts he got during the stream amounted to about $500 if his count is to be trusted, but still, that's not enough for an apartment. So what Daniel is probably trying to say is that he wants to spend it all on an expensive hotel room and then go back to being homeless 2 days later, stealing food and electricity from a mall. As the stream goes on, he complains about not having music production know-how and claims that Clark should learn and do it for him. For those of you who haven't seen the previous videos, ever since
reminds me of this guy, Aaron Cairo. Used to watch him when I was a skater. Lol. Kind of looks like a 1910s cartoon character, maybe a vagabond that rides on the railroad and eats canned beans.
What is 411?
Oh yeah, that retarded loser. Is he still uploading? This guy is a dumbass piece of shit. He was making ridiculous amounts of money on his YouTube channel, and people found out he was a Scientologist. And rather than paying his employees or just saving the money like any sane, rational human being, he was giving millions and millions of dollars to the fucking Church of Scientology. And he ended up completely and utterly destroying his fucking business and his whole life. He lost all of his fucking friends. That guy's a fucking retard. Like, oh my god, dude. But thanks for the donation, CDG.
Daniel has had an online presence. He's always maintained a delusion that he's a successful singer-songwriter, and one of the ways trolls found to successfully capture him.
I'm just gonna go get another drink. I'm thirsty. I'll be right back.
Let's not forget Obama gave Ukraine sheets and clothes. Trump gave them javelins and munitions. Putin invaded Ukraine while Biden was president. Fact check.
Well, no, it was when Barack Obama was president. Thanks for the donation, though, 21st. I feel really weird and spacey right now.
His attention is to present themselves as a record label representative or manager. Clark was the last person to play the role of Daniel's manager, mostly during the year of 2023, and he was particularly infamous for mindlessly enabling Daniel. After complaining about him, Daniel follows up with the announcement he will be running for UCLA government.
It is true, I am running for the UCLA government, and the elections are today. I did find out where the drones were coming from, so UCLA is working with the Chinese government. I was being told that people are being followed by the Chinese government on and off campus. And also, there is no drone, so stop talking about the drones.
It's funny that the people in the chat keep talking about drones to try and make him even more paranoid. Later on, he announces that he will be purposely violating his probation.
I'm going to be possibly in a new movie, so I'm going to be traveling. Rather, the probation allows it or not. I've already been accepted. Not like I can just quit that job.
As he grows increasingly concerned about being followed, he basically starts stimming about his manager, Clark, Bob, and Tina, and Grace Vanderwall, blaming them for his life being messed up and him being homeless. I realize that some of you guys may not know who any of these people are, so I'll explain them as quick as I can. Besides Clark, whom we've already introduced, we have Bob, a longtime patron of Daniel, who basically adopted the role of his caretaker after his family could no longer handle him. His presence in Daniel's life can be summarized in him occasionally sending Daniel some money, which he always spends all at once in stupid ways. And whenever Daniel gets arrested, Bob is the one who bails him out and sets him up with a new phone, which restarts the Larson cycle. And I can't forget to mention that Daniel's only way of repaying him for these acts of charity is by blaming him for not helping enough and gaslighting him, which sometimes evolves to outright physical violence.
Calling the police.
Okay. No, you're not helping me. You're not helping.
You're hitting me.
But you're not helping me. The motel threatened to kill me.
We also have Grace Vanderwall, a singer among many other teen and preteen stars that Daniel was obsessed with when he started posting online, and Tina Vanderwall.
Like, Daniel's just a piece of shit. Like, he might be retarded, but he's a piece of shit. I like, actually hate him. He's an asshole. CDG donate $2. Have you seen what's happening to the food in China?
So, Michelle, you're eating mango here.
Great.
Vanderwall, Grace's mother. While the trolls pretended to be pretty much everybody Daniel was infatuated with, for whatever reason, Grace was the one he latched onto the most, as he believed that she was genuinely dating him and was going to buy him a house and go on a world tour with him. But before I go any further in this video, I have to sell things. This video is brought to you by the Turkey Tom Shaker Cup, available for a limited time only. This is actually my first time being outside ever, because outside of this, and soda ramming. All right, so back to the stream we were talking about before. Eventually, you can hear sirens in the background, which sends Daniel into an even deeper state of paranoia as he argues with his chat.
The cops are not coming, guys. LOL.
Just a few minutes before the stream was abruptly ended, Daniel walked into some sort of open establishment and suddenly started loudly talking about World of T-Shirts, Joshua Block, saying he got really drunk and violated court. As insane as it is, I think this was an impromptu attempt to frame Josh for what he himself had done, as moments later, this happened. It's hard to hear, but someone calls out saying, "Hey," right before Dan looks away and ends the stream. Most likely, the person calling out for him was a police officer, as later on, it was revealed that this was a moment he was suddenly approached by cops who held and arrested him.
Wait, hold on, bro. Glove up. Put gloves on. You got some extra? I should. So we're going to take him from the chair, and we'll go across, so we're not fighting that pillar. We're going to go ahead and make contact with him right now. It's okay. Hey, buddy, it's okay. It's okay. Relax. Just remember, relax. Relax. Deep breath. Calm down. We're good.
This same officer informed Daniel that he had 3 standing warrants for his arrest, and that he had been trespassed for life from the mall he was at. I gotta say, these cops were extremely good at handling someone as wiry as Daniel, as when he started rattling off his excuses for not showing up to court, the officer explained to him he just needed to call them to reschedule his appointment, which Daniel claimed he was working on doing. The specific warrant being enforced here was a $20,000 statewide probation violation warrant, but he had 2 others in specific counties that he had been running from. When they got to the station, Daniel asked to speak to a sergeant to complain about the arresting officers being too aggressive with him.
So when I was met with the officers that arrested me, they grabbed both my arms and put them behind my back.
It's called arrest control.
Right.
Okay.
And I feel like it was kind of aggressive.
It may have been a little aggressive.
Yes.
Okay, do you know what kind of warrant you have?
I do, yes.
Okay. Do you think that, due to the fact that you have a history of being violent with other people, that maybe that's why they did that?
I just feel like it was aggressive for the meaning of what they were trying to do at that time. I feel like if I was being aggressive, then I feel like that makes sense.
Okay, did you make statements that you were going to shoot up the...
He's just a lying, manipulative jackass. Like, he's a retard, but he just, like, knowingly, deliberately lies about fucking everything. He's kind of like Frank DeFano.
The Aurora Mall?
I did not.
For context, between his previous arrest and this one, an incident took place in which an unidentified troll
Michelle from China, Michelle from China
was loitering at the Aurora Mall, the same mall he was in on the day of his last arrest. This troll proceeded to approach Daniel and douse him with an entire bottle of fart spray.
Wait, just join.
While it's obviously not okay to initiate altercations like this, especially in places like a mall where—
Just so you know, Richard I didn't donate that troll donation. The DR ones are not from me. I'm keeping my word today. Tongue, you can tell when it's me because I write with an above 90 IQ. You can tell when retards donate because they use nigger or bad grammar.
Okay, thanks for the donation, CDG. Appreciate it.
it can result in damage to the property or harm to Daniel, he responded in an equally not okay fashion.
Dude's freaking out. Holy Hey, someone get security. This guy's freaking out. So, hey, this guy's freaking out. Someone get security. He's knocking over. Whoa. Hey, back up.
I don't care. You're going to jail. I know security here.
I can't play it here due to YouTube's amazing rules, but Daniel could also be seen hitting himself and heard hitting something else in the background. Following the incident, Daniel made a series of posts to TikTok claiming that he had been doused with pee, a stolen bottle of perfume, as well as alleging that the troll tried to get Daniel to go to his car and hotel forcibly, which is very odd. This incident was quickly absorbed into Dan's delusions, as he made another post saying Bob refused to help his security team and the Vanderwall family and management to protect Daniel from the assault. Despite suffering no injury as a consequence, a day later, Daniel checked himself into a hospital. Yes, you heard right, there was a celebrity in the hospital.
Excuse me, there's currently a celebrity in the hospital. Dang. There is currently a celebrity in the hospital. We are asking that the message gets out.
He stayed there briefly, but after he was medically cleared and discharged, he was found sleeping in the lobby. Of course, it was pretty easy to figure out he was fine and was just a homeless person looking to stay inside, but it wasn't so easy to get him to leave the hospital.
You've been harassing me.
I've been asking you politely to leave because you've been discharged.
I want the police to show up.
You wait up here to escort you out.
I want the police. I don't care. Trespass me from the hospital. That's a violation.
No, it's not. That's me enforcing the hospital's policy and the right to be safe.
So I guess I won't go to any hospital in the state of Colorado. I guess I will just leave Colorado because you can't trespass me from a hospital if I was a patient.
I certainly can't trespass you because you've been discharged. You've been medically cleared.
It's always wonderful to see how lippy he gets when he's arguing with women instead of men. Despite his many intellectual disabilities, he clearly understands when he can get away with this kind of behavior. It's also funny to see him randomly bringing up leaving the state of Colorado because he's aware of his warrants and has probably been thinking about leaving to avoid his legal troubles. His tone noticeably changes when a guy, probably security, joins the conversation.
But you're waiting for the bus. You need to be at the bus stop, waiting for the bus.
And the bus stop, I know exactly where it is.
Okay, we're not going to argue. You already told me to leave, right?
Right.
So we leave immediately or you leave with me now?
But
leave or go with me. Your choice.
Why would I go with you?
We're done, because you're trespassing.
I'm not trespassing at all. I was a patient.
I'm not going to argue with you. You're trespassing. It's time to go now, or you're going to end up in the jail. Your choice.
I don't understand, because I was a patient. I got discharged.
You've been discharged and you were sleeping. You were told to leave.
I wasn't sleeping in the lobby at all.
Because I was there, so it's time to go now.
I wasn't sleeping in the lobby at all, and I told you I was waiting for.
I'm about to put you in handcuffs and take you to jail.
You can't do that, because you like literally
so you're under arrest for trespassing.
No, I'm not.
Are you ready to go?
No, I'm not, because I'm leaving.
But just as Daniel was about to get out of one of these trespass situations without getting himself in even more legal trouble, we can see the tongue of rage emerge from its dark crevice. And this is what he does next.
And they previously wouldn't even give me a bus ticket. They were telling me to call Bob and get him to come pick me up. I guess I'll plan him now on the place. Holy treat me that way. I'll treat him with disrespect. Daniel McDougall guy, the secret investigator guy, he thought I could actually make a ball.
What a fucking idiot. I wonder if he has gotten some sort of mental health assessment, and this is why, like, they're not, I don't know, just putting him in an institution and saying he's a retard. Like, they may have realized, like, he's smart enough to maybe just, I don't know, lie about everything, and he's just kind of crazy.
I don't even know how to use fireworks. Are you me? And the guy wants to come up to my family and say that I was making a bomb just because I was famous. Like, what the Maybe I should go to Bob's house and actually, with a gun and a bomb, and bomb his house. Because I have a right to defend myself. Apparently I can't self-defend myself, but I think I'm going to call Bob and I'm going to leave him a long voicemail about if he doesn't give me $3,000 so I can get a motel room for a week and get an apartment. Then I might actually show up on his property.
Although it's cut together here for your viewing experience, after he made the shooting threat, he spent several minutes in silence, probably because he remembered he could actually get in trouble for saying things like that, especially when directed at a hospital of all places. Then he brings up his previous bombing threats and a certain secret investigator, Daniel McDougall, who apparently interrogated him about his threats. At this point in time, most people were under the impression that this, like many other things he mentions during his streams and videos, was just a fake name some troll used to pretend to be a police officer to get some responses out of Danderson. Later on, we'll find out that's not quite the case. Regardless, this stream and the things he was yelling during his altercation with the fart spray troll not only got him banned from the mall, but also attracted the attention of the authorities, who must have had some kind of APB out on him for days before his arrest. This brings us back to his February arrest, when he tries to convince the sergeant his ban from the Aurora Mall was the work of one of his fans.
Another thing is I am extremely popular on social media, so it doesn't surprise me that one of my fans would have called the Aurora Mall and then claimed I said something I didn't, because that happens all the time as well.
Regardless of whatever gibberish he was trying to tell every cop that was handling his booking, he was uneventfully taken into jail. While you're getting the beat by beat right now, at the time this was happening, most people were completely out of the loop and desperate for some updates on Mr. President. Their desperation got to the point that, in an attempt to listen to his first court appearance, they ended up swarming some other guy's court appearance who happened to also be named Daniel Larson, and it got that court stream shut down. 1 week later, the real Danderson was slated to have an appearance, but it was in a court in Jefferson County, and he obviously couldn't attend due to being in jail in Arapahoe County. A day later, he was finally seen through an online court stream, and while not very many online observers managed to get into the stream, one of the people who did left a comment on Reddit relaying the information. Daniel's attorney said he has been diagnosed with autism and PTSD. They mentioned that his close friends are assisting him in finding shelter in motels. They also mentioned that he has a following on TikTok and is earning money on his own through his fame. He's getting a psychological evaluation and a new court date next week. There should be a $500 cash option for the secured bond. Daniel said, "I just don't have anyone that can do a security bond. I just don't have any family. I will be able to get a psych evaluation by tomorrow." During his time in jail, former manager Flexberger released 4 phone calls between Daniel and Clark, who was his current manager. This is what he immediately says as soon as he gets on the first call.
Yeah, so apparently this is pretty much all Bob, but it's because, don't tell him.
You're saying this guy doesn't qualify to be in a mental institution? He seems like the embodiment of a mental institution, lol.
Yeah, he's clearly fucked. Like, here's the thing, it's like, usually when people talk about being mentally unfit to stand trial or be responsible for your actions, they're talking about like some sort of mental disability or like form of insanity where you're unable to know right from wrong, or you're unable to understand what you did, you know, stuff like that. I don't know if Daniel technically qualifies for that sort of thing, because he lies about everything. Like, he's a massive manipulator, liar, gaslighter. He does it constantly. He knows exactly what he's doing. So he knows what he is not supposed to do or what he's supposed to do. And he knows what he has or has not done. So, I don't know. It's like, he is fucked though. I just don't know how to, like, describe... I don't know, he's just fucked in a very unique way. It's like an extreme form of narcissism and fucktard. He's just a narcissist fucktard. Thanks for the donation, though, Jacked Up.
But it's because I haven't been going to my probation meetings because he won't give me my money to be able to get there.
The rest of the call is a lot less entertaining, as Clark feeds into Daniel's delusions of fame, talking about how the fans leaked the arrest body cam footage, and not questioning Daniel when he talks about getting support from Bob and Grace to get him out of jail. The primary concern for Daniel is to get his fans to do teamwork, by which he means everyone pitching in to pay his $20,000 bail, which was still that high when the call was made. Now, the secondary concern is preventing someone named Cheng from taking over the UCLA and making it legal to eat dogs. The next call has some more interesting moments.
People are going around to sale showing all of my Photoshop, not even the real photos, but
He's like half the viewers in your chat and 90% of your donators.
Okay, thanks for the donation, CDG. Uh, 21st $20, don't skip or end early. Okay. The conspiracy theories just aren't true, never have been. It's an honor to serve the President of the United States and all Canadians. So is he just saying the President was lying about everything? That's funny.
This church was abandoned for a long time, but eventually it had visitors.
Yeah, get out of the UK while you still can. Okay. Alright, thanks for the donation, 21st.
You know it's true. You just can't insult your schizo donators because you don't want to interrupt your cash flow. It's okay. I can say it for you.
Ugh. Yeah. Thanks for the donation, CDG.
Photoshop photos of me.
Are you serious?
Yep.
After this one, it seems that Daniel was allowed to have video calls, as he has a camera feed in parts of it.
He's telling me to tell the courts that if they don't get me housing, Bob's gonna kill himself and all this weird stuff. And it's like, no, like, please just, you know, like, I don't want to be involved in all that garbage. Well, he's 70 years old, you know, and he's acting like being 70 years old gives him the authority. And all it's doing is it's bringing down my life. It's framing me is what it's doing.
Here, try
and in the end, he should be the one to bail me out because he's the one that's been giving me all my money.
Here, try and see if you can turn your camera on. I want to see if you're doing good.
Yeah, so what I would do is I would talk to Tina and kind of go from there. I should go for now to save battery and to save money. Message.
You okay?
Feeling not so great. I started the diet again today and I'm just not feeling great. 'Cause dieting sucks. Thanks for the donation though, CDG.
Tina and Grace and see if they can bail me out.
Even while constantly putting Bob down for seemingly no reason, he still expects him to bail him out just because he used to give him money. It's important to say that Bob had absolutely nothing to do with this, and any communications between Daniel and Bob during this time period are actually between Daniel and trolls pretending to be Bob. There is another call, but due to it just covering things we've already heard, and Daniel further giving himself over to his delusions about Grace, it's not worth getting into. While he was initially looking at anywhere between 30 days and a whopping 18 months for violating his probation, on the 1st of March, his plot armor muscled through, and he was released with a reinstated probation.
Hello everybody, it is March 1st, 2024, and I got released from the Boulder County Jail.
Just a couple of days later, he responded to some YouTube comments who were asking him questions about what went on by saying that he was assaulted and raped in jail, adding that he was in a pod with murderers. Despite being released, things didn't get much better for Daniel, as restaurants were consistently kicking him out or refusing to serve him altogether due to his reputation. His new thing after this latest arrest of him pretending to call his probation, which I assume meant his probation officer, but no one would pick up, only for there to be no dial tone, no sound indicating a missed call, no sounds of buttons being pressed when he's dialing, just Daniel muttering to himself as if he was doing something and visibly shaking his head to demonstrate his frustration. There were some other questionable activities during this period as well, such as Daniel making a post titled Modeling, where it was just a picture of himself shirtless. What an absolute specimen. It didn't take long for his paranoid delusions to return, as Daniel made posts about hearing gunshots, seeing the police come, receiving paychecks from Interscope Records, and being ghosted by his management and Bob. Like the boy who cried wolf. Due to how much Daniel made up, it was hard to say when he was talking about something that actually happened. So when he started talking about being physically hit by someone named Dylan Clark and kicked out of the homeless shelter, many thought he was simply talking about his manager.
I just got kicked out of the Boulder County homeless shelter because Dylan Clark was back and he hit me.
This supposed fight was followed by Daniel making a phone call to report on this Dylan Clark person and claiming he was being investigated by Daniel's cybersecurity team. In reality, Dylan Clark, or as he's usually referred to, Blark, was someone who had already conducted a few interviews with Daniel and had gotten in legal trouble for calling in threats to schools. The thing about this is, Blark was also a compulsive liar, so there was no shot anyone would immediately get a clear story out of these guys. However, it turned out Daniel had told the truth, at least in part, since he did get in a scuffle with Blark, which got him kicked out of the shelter. This wasn't that big of a deal since Daniel had already proved himself to be incompatible with other shelter rules, like not streaming on his phone all the time. But the thing is, housing was a requirement of his recently reinstated probation, and since he was out of the shelter, he was in violation of it. Of course, that's without mentioning the dozen other court dates and violations he was committing left and right, so it really was just a matter of time until he was caught again. Before the cops got to him though, Daniel had another minor conflict, and this time it was against, water.
You drinking water? That's disgusting. You might as well be drinking cum.
And the water was winning. First, he got so carried away on his phone that he walked through an entire section of the sidewalk that was completely covered in freezing cold water. Later on, an unknown person doused him with water late that night. But before Commander H2O could secure a dominant victory against the Larsonian army, on the 19th, the police found him at a random grassy off-road location and arrested him. He was processed for being a fugitive, and once again, it seemed like the charges were piling up against him in such a way there would be no way he got away with it. Then, he got away with it, having his probation reinstated.
Back on the diet, huh? Show us your physique. Been a while since we saw. You must be really close to your goal, right? You've been dieting for several months.
Yeah, I mean, I took a week off. I didn't gain any weight. I'm just the same as before. I have no idea. I have no clue. I just look the way I look. Thanks for the donation though, CDG. How many calories? I ate about 1,800 today.
For the umpteenth time. After this, he was free for another 2 weeks, although we can lay the blame for that completely on the court that released him, as Daniel was doing everything in his power to get himself captured again. Within a couple of days of his release, he announced there'd be an imminent financial crash, setting the grounds for his first big meltdown from this period.
The FBI can go ahead and press legal charges on me. I will just kill their ass.
He soon followed this up with a new stream where he sprinted around, claimed he was being followed, and afterwards posted a video titled Shots Fired, where he ran around to the sound of Pop Smoke, and he can be heard repeating the phrase throughout it. Clearly, there's some major bout of paranoia going on here for reasons that are impossible to understand. Over the next few days, Daniel keeps bringing up meeting with the FBI, and more specifically, being wanted by the U.S. Secret Service, which once again ties back to the mystical Daniel McDougal figure. Danderson apparently tried to properly attend his court hearings and his probation appointments, but failed to do so multiple times, meaning he was going to be arrested again, this time for violating his bond stipulations. At the end of the month, he ended up at the hospital for unknown reasons, and 2 days later, someone pulled the fire alarm at the hotel he was staying at, which many speculate was actually Daniel. Whatever the case truly is with the fire alarm, on the same day, he got on a bus to go back to Denver, which, as far as I'm aware, he wasn't allowed to do, as he had court meetings to attend in the county he was already in. Consequently, he was arrested again for being a fugitive, only to be released again the following day. You see, the warrant on him was only concerned with the hearings he missed, and completely unaware of his innumerable bombing threats on TikTok. The last couple of arrests were related to the original charges Daniel got during the December 2023 Olive Garden incident, wherein he pulled the fire alarm at an Olive Garden and went absolutely ballistic as the staff tried to kick him out, claiming there were FBI vehicles outside and that he was going to meet with Grace, as well as Secret Service agent Daniel McDougal.
You guys were back in the back printing off my nudes off of a website.
I'm performing a citizen's arrest, so the FBI is outside.
Was that the bite of 87? While it had been months since this incident, Daniel was still in the same headspace.
This is a message to the feds, the FBI, CIA, US government, and Bob and everybody on Earth. Better not try to twist what I am saying and take little bits and pieces of my social media and try to incriminate me and try to press charges on me. You guys are trying to take what I say, take the things that I've said, and twist the entire story around. If anyone does that, there will be a massive, massive lawsuit. I am friends with Donald J. Trump, and when he's president, I will make sure that he takes down the feds.
As my first order of business, I hereby declare martial law. You have to take out their family.
But I'm not going to sit here and play games where the feds are like, oh, you threatened us. You said this, you said that. When you don't even know the entire reason why.
On the 6th of that month, he ensured a speedy return to lockup as he made a stream where he did pretty much everything he wasn't supposed to do, and once again attracted the attention of law enforcement for the things he said.
I will bomb your house! Bomb you! Bomb you! Bomb you! Bomb you! Kill you! Kill you! Call the feds on me!
When the serpent's tongue is poking out, you know he means business. His many threats against Bob, every police station in the world, the White House, and Daniel McDougal would be the key elements to getting him locked up for good. Funnily enough, it seems this meltdown was triggered by Daniel being kicked out of a Buffalo Wild Wings, and honestly, I can understand. Despite this insane episode, Daniel spent the rest of the month mostly behaving himself, attending court, and trying to obey his probation. But unfortunately for him, it was too little, too late, as his fate was already sealed. Unbeknownst to him, his threats to the almighty Bob meant he had no chance of keeping his freedom. On the 27th, Daniel has a brief and mostly undocumented run-in with the police, and although he's not arrested on the spot, this incident is probably what led to what came next. He gets kicked out of yet another B-dubs the next day, and probably aware he was going to get caught and arrested again for missing court appointments and dine and dashing, he announced online that he was on his way to Boulder, where he had every intention of continuing his rampage. However, before he could go, on the 30th, he was arrested for the last time. And this time, it wasn't for some petty county charge, but instead, a federal...
I wonder if this guy's getting, like, gonna get the shit kicked out of him in prison. Like, he's so fucking annoying. Like, this is probably the single most annoying person who has ever fucking existed. There's gotta be some drug dealer, some psychopathic rapist in prison who will encounter this highly, highly annoying man and just choke him to death. Like, there's a good chance somebody will kill him.
Warrant for the bombing threats he had been making online for the past year. All the way back in August of 2023, Daniel posted a video titled Daniel Larson on his way to meet up with the investigator, where he talked about meeting with Secret Service agent Daniel McDougal to talk about the things Daniel had said during the 7-11 incident. Namely, he said he would have the White House bombed after a couple of trolls stole Daniel's dog. Although this stealing was quite justified, given that Daniel wasn't treating the dog properly and didn't even have the means to feed it, as he was homeless at this time. Agent McDougal has been somewhat of a recurring theme, especially when Danderson broaches the topic of blowing up people or buildings. As I already said, many people assumed this was just a troll who was presenting himself as some kind of official to gain Daniel's trust. But to the surprise of everyone, and Daniel's court documents, we can see that the person in charge of Daniel's case was none other than FBI agent Daniel McDougal. For a whole year, McDougal was apparently keeping track of Larson's online activities, which is really funny to me. Imagine working your whole life to become an FBI agent, and instead of investigating terrorism or organized crime, you get tasked with following the online activities of Daniel Larson. I don't know if that's a dream scenario or a nightmare scenario, but whatever it is, that's his life. Over the 4 pages of his indictment, Daniel had 6 counts of threatening to use explosives and 1 count of interstate communication threats. I imagine that these may sound a little scary if you don't know the context and have no idea who Daniel Larson is, but it's hilarious if you look into what each of these counts is actually about. A couple of them are related to the July 3rd Community Tab incident when Daniel said he would bomb a courthouse, the headquarters of both Spotify and Reddit, and the White House.
I am done and I will not stop until the White House is blown up.
Then we have the August 29th meltdown when trolls got under Daniel's skin by pretending to be Grace and claiming she was cheating on him with Bob and Tyrone. In response, Daniel threatened to kill Beyonce, himself, and Grace Vanderwall, then threatened to drop bombs on the White House, Columbia Records, all of the US government, every single police station in the world, and Bob's house. Then he tried to dox Grace, and last but not least, he called his manager at the time the N-word. Although there have been some people who make accounts pretending to be Daniel to say incriminating stuff, Daniel ensured that people knew he was the real deal by posting a video called Proof for N-word Grace Vanderwall I Am Hitting Myself, where he did what was said in the title while wishing that she was dead. There were probably a lot of other things that he said that are unfortunately gone, the reason why being that due to how fast he spammed his community post feed, not all of them have been archived. The other two incidents that contributed to the charges against him were the March 23rd and April 6th meltdowns, which we've already gone over, and the Christmas Day meltdown, in which Daniel specifically said he was going after none other than Agent McDougal. While there were many instances where Daniel claimed he'd been communicating with Agent McDougal, there were also some other confirmed instances of people pretending to be him, some of which were caught by Daniel himself. Because of this, it's impossible to know which ones were real and which ones were trolls. Regardless, if they had any communications where McDougal tried to advise against making terroristic threats on TikTok, they clearly had no effect. As it's laid out by Daniel's court documents, all of the counts he faced could add up to 65 years in jail and $1.7 million. Of course, rarely do people get sentenced to the exact full amount of their counts, but knowing Daniel, anything is possible. He could try to represent himself.
Wait, how long?
As it's laid out by Daniel's court documents, all of the counts he faced could add up to 65 years in jail and 1.7.
Holy shit. He's probably not going to get 65 years, but... Wow. That's a lot. Hopefully they just give him maximum. Like, this guy should never be allowed out in public. He's probably better off in prison in his own, like, cell.
$7 million. Of course, rarely do people get sentenced to the exact full amount of their counts, but knowing Daniel, anything is possible. He could try to represent himself and destroy his case so badly that he got the full ride, or he could go free out of nowhere. Surprisingly, despite the FBI's year-long surveillance of Daniel's online activities, it doesn't seem like there was any emphasis on looking into the many times Daniel admitted to watching illegal videos of children. Literally one day before he got arrested, he made a community post which read, "I watched CP because the FBI and US Secret Service showed me what it was." Very bold move. I'm sure that'll look good on the eventual court transcript. While I try not to wish ill will on anyone, it's only fitting that, along with Daniel, it seems that his manager, Clark, was also in the crosshairs of the police for allegedly being an accomplice to Daniel's activities. While there have been multiple managers over Daniel's career, if we can call it that, Clark held that position for the longest period of time, at 10 months straight. Meanwhile, Flexberger, a former manager of Daniel's, consistently highlighted that, despite this being funny, Daniel was a pathological liar with very creepy tendencies that frankly should be a matter of public knowledge. Consequently, Flex's approach to managing Daniel was to try and extract as many funny moments as he could, without actively empowering him to get in contact with other people. Meanwhile, it seems that due to issues in his personal life, Clark became parasocially infatuated with Daniel, speaking with him over 10 hours a week every single week. While it's universally unadvisable to directly interact with people like Daniel just beyond observing them, Clark didn't just interact with him, but he actively enabled all of his delusions, which definitely drove him further into the paranoid schizo state he was in the last few months that he was free. It may sound harmless or just dumb, but his management approach led to two situations, the Golden Hotel incident and the Olive Garden incident, where Clark told Daniel that Grace would be at a certain establishment and egged him on to the point where Daniel became belligerent toward the staff and caused serious property damage. It also didn't help that Clark had a whole Discord server set up around interacting with Daniel, which is just about as bad of an idea as you can have. Now, this isn't to say some of Daniel's past managers, including Flex, were saints or that their behavior should be reproduced, but Clark's approach was specifically bad given how friendly he was to Daniel. Additionally, in December 2023, Flex leaked some phone communications Daniel had with Clark, where this is said.
What he's doing is he's blaming you for being a fake lawyer, okay? Everything is true, but you are a fake lawyer. I don't know what the fuck is going on with this Daniel McTuckle guy. He is saying I have to do a lie test. A lie detection test. In other words, when I say you're my lawyer, he's saying he's not a real lawyer.
I don't know exactly when this call was made, but based exclusively on what Daniel and Clark are saying, it seems that Clark was obstructing McDougal's investigation by pretending to be and convincing Daniel that he was his real lawyer. While this fixation on Daniel isn't as bad as, let's say, Isabella Janke's fixation with Chris Chan, Clark also claimed that he was doing all of this to put Daniel in jail. But clearly, he was making no real genuine efforts to have that happen. The worst part about it is that Clark was financially enabling Daniel for the duration of his management, which is probably how Daniel managed to pay for buses to travel from county to county. Despite his involvement having proven to be harmful, even after Daniel was locked up, Clark continued to communicate with him regularly. The first call took place on the 1st of May, when Daniel explained how the arrest actually went down.
This time the Fed copy, and Bob told me that it wasn't going to happen and he didn't believe me. And yesterday, and sure enough, the Feds were there and they charged me with 7 counts of threats. 7 counts of threats? And associates. Yep, under federal court. Holy shit.
While he was lucid enough to accurately lay out what he was charged with without lying, he immediately followed it up with this.
The Feds apparently are looking into Bob for his finances, and the Feds are also, on top of that, now looking into my big statement. He's a real adult.
It's like he can never get in any trouble without instantly trying to drag Bob down with him. What's likely to be the real explanation for what Daniel is saying is that McDougal, whose specialty as an FBI agent was fraud, was suspicious about Daniel's earnings, most of which came from Bob, who kept him afloat for the majority of his career. Later on in the call, Daniel mentions that he's now considered a flight risk and that they're considering moving him to a higher security facility. His public defender's strategy to get Daniel out of jail was to explain that he doesn't know how to make explosives and didn't mean any of the threats that he said, as he only said them because he was panicking. While these things are both true, like always, Daniel pairs it with a lie.
And I don't have a violent history like anything like that.
Excluding all of the times he destroyed property, we know this to be untrue, since all the way back in 2017, Daniel's first documented arrest was for hitting his mother, who was paralyzed and wheelchair bound, and hitting his grandmother, who, according to his own mom, was sick and dying. Both of their conditions are publicly verifiable, and both of these women have since passed away. So rest in peace, and God bless them for putting up with the maniac that is Danderson. While the felony third-degree assault charge he got for it was dismissed, he was deemed guilty of misdemeanor harassment and sentenced to 44 days in jail, although Daniel is known to lie about this. In his version of the story, the case as a whole was dismissed, and his mother deserved to be hit due to allegedly being abusive towards him, hitting him with belts for 15 years. Interestingly enough, he doesn't mention his grandmother at all when he talks about this. Besides the concerns about Daniel's violent behavior, it's also claimed that the judge wants him locked up so that he won't get released and immediately go back to social media, as that seems to be the main source of his delusions and problems. Despite looking down the barrel of serious legal punishment, Daniel not only maintained a pretty good outlook on it, but also adds that he's told his public defender will be reaching out to Grace, claiming that they're now engaged. It's unbelievable how far this Grace Vanderwall thing has gotten, and it's hard to believe there was once a time when Daniel didn't think they were in a relationship. When going over his charges, Daniel mentions that the prosecution was focused on the threats Daniel made towards the DDRC, the Developmental Disabilities Resource Center in Lakewood, Colorado, where Daniel used to stay before he was homeless. Unlike the majority of his other threats, which yielded nothing but potential jail time for Daniel himself, his threats against the DDRC resulted in the entire facility being evacuated and a bomb squad unit being detached to clear the building, which, as you can imagine, was quite stressful for the staff and patients and expensive for the police. But Daniel's take on it is pretty interesting.
After like comments you made one time, they had to evacuate like the whole building or something.
Yep, and they brought in bomb sniffing dogs.
Jesus Christ.
Because like DRC, you get put which I mean proves kind of how stupid they are, you know, because they know me so well that like they know I'm not going to do that. But kind of ridiculous.
Like, why would they even waste?
What's particularly entertaining about this call is that when Daniel pivots to the FBI's interest in Clark in the Discord server, you can almost hear his heart sink.
The FBI is still saying things about you, and not only you, but our Discord server that I know you're
Property of Larson Lee.
Jesus Christ, this is a whole mess now.
Dude, that would have me so fucking worried. Imagine the FBI investigating you over, like, just being associated with this fucking retard. Like, just trolling and having a Discord server, and then you're getting fucking investigated by the FBI? And you can get, like, charged with some stupid fucking crime because of this retard?
You know, like, they're trying to call me crazy when it's like, you know, because this is what I did.
I agree, why would you lie?
Daniel's read of the situation is that instead of having him arrested, McDougal should have simply cut contact with Daniel. Before the call comes to an end, Daniel reveals that McDougal tried breaking his delusion by showing him a message that Grace Vanderwall's mother, Tina, once sent him. Stop saying my daughter's name. Stop saying you are in a relationship with her. You are scaring her and our family. Everything you have said and done has been in your mind. You need to access some mental health support and stop harassing my daughter. I have contacted the authorities and will continue to press the issue if you don't stop making disturbing videos. Your followers have harassed my daughter long enough. Stop. In a shining example of his accountability and emotional control, Daniel said, I understand.
Superman had the look, body build, costume but lacked to exude strength. Lacked stoicism, had insecure outbursts at online trolls calling him super shit. Illogical movie scenes, big monster, but 5 feet away little girl playing hopscotch. Fuck James Gunn.
I have heard that movie is not good. I saw Red Letter Media uploaded a review about it. I'm probably going to watch that later, like off stream, but yeah, so far I'm hearing that movie is very stupid and boring, and not much actually happens. Thanks for the donation though, super shit. Appreciate it. All these superhero movies are just fucking terrible. Like, there's no point in watching them. Sengoku donate $2. Would you rather be intelligent but irrational, or unintelligent but highly rational? I don't know exactly what you mean by that, because in my mind, intelligence and rationality kind of sort of go hand in hand. They're like almost analytically linked. I'm not sure. It kind of depends what the downside of each would be. So I'm not entirely sure what you even mean by that. Thanks for the donation, Sengoku.
Why do I get forearm pain like where the bone is when I do curls? Only supinated curls with dumbbell or easy curl bar, doesn't matter which I do. Hammer grip doesn't cause pain, but I feel like my biceps grow more with a supinated grip. What should I do?
It's probably, It's probably like, you know, a thing. So, you know, you want to just fix the thing. Could just be, you know, a weak brachialis or brachial radialis. Or you could have tendinitis. Who knows? I don't know, dude. Like, I don't have the answer to why any one particular person has some random pain in their body. I have no idea. But yeah, you might want to just try doing some more exercises to strengthen your brachialis or brachial radialis. See if that helps. Thanks for the donation, CDG.
And I'm ending my life tonight. Everyone has messed up everything. I actually think this interaction was what gave Daniel his tick of saying my family and our family during his aimless ramblings, as if he were speaking for the Vanderwalls or some kind of extended Larson family. Unfortunately, McDougal's attempt to show these messages to get Daniel to realize what was going on did not work, as he simply explained it away as having happened years ago and said that Tina had since changed her mind. It's actually kind of impressive that they didn't get him on some kind of cyberstalking or harassment charge for this. Perhaps finally realizing the gravity of his involvement with Daniel, on the 6th, Clark decided that it was time to come clean, although it had some mixed results.
All of this has been, it's fake, man. I mean, I'm not Clark, I'm not a lawyer, I don't work for Interscope. Grace doesn't want to talk to you. There isn't Grace. The only reason Grace knows you is because she thinks either you're a predator, a creep, and the only time you've ever talked to Tina was because she was telling you to back away. I mean, it hurts to say UCLA was fake, Interscope was fake. Every single thing that we did, it was fake. I mean, none of that was real, Daniel. I mean, and I can't keep leading you on here. And to be honest, you do need to learn your lesson. And I know we've acted like friends for the past, 9 months. But really, you're a sick guy, man. And I tried to give you the benefit of the doubt. Then I would see you send those to 15-year-old Sky Brown, say your things. You need to get some help. And I've been recording everything.
But Richard, you have the biggest biceps ever. That's why I was wondering if you had any idea. Tongue, it's pain on the outside of my forearm, not my brachioradialis. That's why I'm confused. Guess my tendons can't twist that way or something? I'm going heavy.
I don't know what you mean by the outside of your forearm. Fuck. Because, where is it? Where's a good image? Yeah, that'd be a good one. Because your brachialis is pretty close to your forearm. That might be what you're feeling. And your brachial radialis is literally a part of your forearm. So I don't know what you mean by the outside of your forearm, but the brachialis and the brachial radialis are, that sounds like it's the muscle you're talking about. It hurts on the part of the forearm, like if you follow the pinky down to the elbow in a straight line. Maybe just don't do bicep training for a little bit. Sounds like you just hurt a muscle in your forearm. Son Goku donated $2. So someone who's intelligent just had the ability to understand and process information very quickly and efficiently, but rationality is more about judgment, so an intelligent, irrational person can still believe conspiracy theories and act impulsively. I don't know. Like, I don't know what's necessarily entailed by either hypothetical. Thanks for the donation, Son Goku, and thanks for the donation, CDG.
We even worked with McDougall for a while, and I'm done. Like, it's over, man.
Now, before we get to Daniel's response, I once again should note that while Clark is coming clean to Daniel here, he is not coming clean to the public, as he's still pretending that this was some kind of grand sting operation and that he was genuinely concerned that Daniel was a creep. In reality, he knew from the get-go just how bad Daniel was and got involved anyway because he was addicted to the entertainment he got out of it. Most of these managers, and more generally people who interact with lolcows, do so because they want to be a character in the lolcow story. It makes them feel relevant in a very sick way. And another point of his spiel here, Clark says that he won't be answering any more calls from Daniel, which, of course, was a lie because he kept coming back for more attention. Fortunately, Clark performatively coming clean had absolutely no effect on Daniel, whose mind is an impenetrable steel trap of delusion. Although people typically attribute a dramatic tone to this moment, the truth is that it made absolutely no difference at all. All it takes is for someone else to come around and tell Daniel that Grace is in love with him, and Daniel would fall for it again. Ultimately, he just wants his delusions to be true, and as long as that's the case, he'll continue believing them. Clark's radio silence lasted for about a day when Bob contacted him, telling him that Daniel had gotten into a fight in jail and wanted to talk to him. Although Bob immediately played it down, saying, "I took it that he had a fight in jail. If he actually did have a fight, it couldn't have been much. There was no indication that it disrupted his phone use." Additionally, the description of the Larson leak raw upload containing some of the evidence I've been talking about says that whatever this incident was, it must have been minor, since Daniel doesn't bring it up, and Clark forgot to even ask about it the next time they spoke. On the 9th, they spoke again, but it was brief and didn't add any new bits of information. One day later, Daniel's public defender introduced a motion for his immediate release, but the judge summarily denied this. Daniel then appeared in court and pled not guilty to all charges, but was ordered to remain detained regardless. Meanwhile, Clark...
It's probably because I'm going heavy doing sets of 5. The pain goes away after 2 to 3 days when I rest. Maybe my muscles and tendons just aren't used to doing heavy curls yet. I just started doing it last 2 weeks. I used to only do sets of 12 before that.
Well, maybe just lower the weight or do fewer sets or something. So yeah, it just sounds like you're overstressing a muscle or something like that. Thanks for the donation though, CDG.
took to Reddit to announce his supposedly permanent retirement as Daniel's manager. I was sticking around for the after effects, getting a feel of how everyone would respond, and I was right. You people need Daniel and will always need Daniel. If not Daniel, you'll find someone else who helps you feel better about yourself and your life. Some of you antisocial Reddit losers who have never spoken to a girl. I can understand how you don't communicate well or what manipulation is, but it's not a good reason to project on someone like myself. I truly don't care. Everything I did was for good. Everyone wanted him locked up. He's locked up. And I still got content during the fact that there were legit Secret Service agents involved. Enjoy your weird lolcow Reddit talk. It's funny. I found out about Daniel 9 to 10 months ago, probably like most of you, and did more than you guys could ever even imagine.
Clark out.
This pathetic farewell message got many people in the Daniel Larson subreddit to consider the possibility that Clark was shaping up to be their next person of interest, now that Daniel was behind bars. For context, time would prove that Clark was the one who was projecting, as a few months after Daniel was arrested, Clark tried to butt into World of T-Shirts and weasel his way into being a part of his story, only to get punched in the mouth for his efforts as Josh jogged away. When Clark tried to grandstand on the subreddit, someone replied saying, "Dude, you're going to jail. You're a dangerous person to have free, and the feds at this point know it too. And when you go down, unlike Daniel, no one will feel even slightly bad for you. Do you think any jury on earth is going to look at you as anything other than some shithead 20-year-old that long con destroyed a disabled man's life? You can brush it away all you want, but a jury won't." This sub is about to turn into a Clark sub. Within 2 hours of this post being made, Clark deleted not just his post, but his entire Reddit account. Granted, this post was just one among many telling Clark just how much of a goofball he was being. But what's important is that it cemented Clark as a certified villain in the Danderson story. For the time being, however, Clark actually did stay away from Daniel. And for months, there's actually no documented instances of Daniel speaking to anyone outside of jail. In late May, some of his court dates were canceled.
Can you please up your calories to 2,200 at least so you aren't a zombie? Is a 40% cut really necessary? Just do a 20 to 25% cut instead so you can have energy. Please. The last week was so much fun when you were talking and acting normally.
Maybe I can do that. Thanks for the donation, CDG.
And he was ordered to undergo a mental health evaluation, probably as an effort to ascertain if he was even competent to stand trial. Soon after, he was transferred to FCI Inglewood, which is the same exact facility that Subway Jared ended up in. What a coincidence. As Daniel's court case slowly progressed, he was ordered to be committed and hospitalized in a facility for up to 4 months to make him competent to stand trial. Months went by, and while Clark hadn't engaged in any direct communication with Daniel, he remained active in the Discord, where he revealed that the last time Daniel tried to call him was June 30th. At this point, Clark actively wanted to get in contact with Daniel or Bob, but Bob wasn't picking up, and Daniel had to be the one to make the call, and he wasn't making it. Finally, in August, Clark noticed he missed a phone call from Daniel, meaning he was probably going to make another attempt soon. It took a while, but nearly a month later, Daniel called again, and this time, Clark managed to pick up.
Dang, Daniel, how you doing?
Absolutely terrible. My lawyer, my public defender, he is saying I'm incompetent and I'm going to get transferred to a psychiatric facility.
Daniel proceeds to list all the places he may end up in, many of which are in other states besides Colorado, an outcome that he and Bob don't want. I'm not sure how exactly Bob is involved, but while it's impossible to know if he's participating in the proceedings in any way, he most likely is still in regular contact with Daniel. Despite knowing that he's looking at a transfer to a psychiatric institution soon, Daniel remains steadfast in his intent of being released on time served, which more and more seems like an impossibility. Additionally, Daniel reiterates that none of his charges should stick, since he considers everything he did justified by the fact he was homeless and calling out for help. In a strange tangent, Daniel talks about how McDougal promised him many things, including having a wedding with Grace Vanderwall, none of which materialized. It's possible that the only reason Daniel
W donates $2. Goku versus Hitler. Turns out Hitler got hands.
I got here as fast as I could. What's going on?
There's been some sort of breach in the underworld, and the worst are slipping through the cracks.
Is it Frieza? Cell?
Even worse, him.
Who's that guy?
Come on, really? He's the worst of the worst, Dad. One of the greatest evils in all of human history.
Oh man, he sounded like York, but that was corrupt. Sorry, Dad. Side with Frieza. Bad.
It's not air far.
That was remarkably lazy and stupid. Thanks for the donation, W.
Suddenly brought McDougal up and tried to discredit him is that it seems that McDougal has mentioned the possibility of prosecuting him for his many questionable online activities regarding minors and not safe for work material. Immediately after talking about these promises, Daniel goes on a bit of a rant about how these claims are baseless, although he doesn't bring up any specifics since he knows how many times he's incriminated himself in the past. When this topic got too uncomfortable for Daniel, he pivoted to another lie, that the prosecution was now investigating Bob for having molested Daniel, although there is absolutely no evidence this was ever investigated or even considered by McDougal or anyone else. This once again seems to be Daniel randomly bringing Bob into every issue he has to try and push the blame on him. After this, Daniel gets into the topic of his jail conditions, and although I've already commented on this in past videos, whenever he gets particularly performative, he puts on this zesty tone of voice, almost like he's trying to emulate female celebrities in interviews.
Somebody was trying to fight me. People were calling me into the jail, sending threats to me. And I'm like, guys, like, I'm famous. It's not my problem. I've been in protective custody on 22-hour lockdown a day over 2 months now. And people are still saying I don't know how to read books when I do. So that's another thing that's pissing me off. People are accusing me of not knowing how to read. Inmates and COs keep coming up to me, like, joking around about Grace, saying, oh, I'm in contact with her now. I'm dating her. You know, it's like, okay, do you have their number? Because I have their number. I'm not, like, I don't have it, you know, straight on me, but it's in my legal discovery. It's just blocked out.
Although some people have brought up his inability to read, I think his claim that everyone was bringing it up is simply him expressing his insecurity about being illiterate. Also, despite the things Clark said in his previous call and his Reddit posts, Daniel is back to believing that he is dating Grace. And once again, Clark is enabling it.
But my legal discovery straight up has conversations with the verified Tina, Grace's mother, where it's straight up talking about being in contact with me and saying Grace is not dating you, she's not aware of you. But then what I find weird is there's a straight up letter that got sent to the homeless shelter where it straight up is from the real Dave. And Dave, as we know, was wanting the relationship and the wedding all along. He has no problem with it, as we know. Right?
Yeah, I mean, assuming so, yeah.
For context, Dave is Grace Vanderwall's father, who absolutely did not send Daniel any letters while he was in the homeless shelter. I didn't even know you could get mail in the homeless shelter. I can't tell if Daniel's just lying about who the letter came from, or if he's lying about getting a letter altogether, since he never stayed at a homeless shelter for more than a few days due to his inability to stop breaking their rules. Even if a troll wanted to send him a letter pretending to be Dave, I strongly doubt he'd be able to receive it, and that it would end up in his legal discovery. This is just another instance of Daniel producing reasons to be confused, and allowing himself to believe whatever he wants to believe. After he's done complaining about his relationship with Grace not being taken seriously, he questions why he's not already out, and why his trial keeps getting pushed back, as the call runs out of time. There wouldn't be any communication with Daniel for a month, and in the meantime, there was some progress with his case. In late September of 2024, his defender demanded that Daniel be sent into a psychiatric facility, which was already meant to happen due to the questions about his competency, but for whatever reason hadn't happened yet. This demand was made with the attached contingency that if he hadn't been evaluated.
No, I've never heard of the emo heavy metal band Motionless in White. That sounds highly gay. Very gay. Like, really gay.
by November 25th, the whole case would get dismissed, meaning Daniel would once again go free. Fortunately, the court established that Daniel's evaluation would begin in December. However, it seems like his case would be dismissed if the year ended with no evaluation in sight. The Larsonian cycle was dangerously close to restarting, and it's at this point that an interloper bypassed Clark and somehow got in contact with Daniel. On October 7th, someone named Lil Sippy was called by Daniel, and although it's hard to figure out how or why this happened, the call was immediately made available for the consumption of Daniel's followers, and it contains some pretty interesting revelations.
My lawyer hasn't been getting back to me at all. I haven't spoken to him since early August. Also, my lawyer, for some reason, has been, the last time I talked to him, which was early August, right? He told me that I was never in contact with the Vanderwalls or the label, which is false.
You said,
because I was in contact with Grace before, and her mother.
So you said that there's something in your discovery for your legal cases confirmed that you were talking to the Vanderwalls or something?
Yes.
As we can see here, his lawyer hates Daniel because he's famous. Realistically, his lawyer probably actually got tired of trying to talk some sense into Daniel as he realized that Mr. President was a lost cause, opting instead to just work on his case without having to speak to him, despite months having gone by, during which Daniel had no access to smartphones.
This sucks. VG starving himself again. Now the streams are gonna be low energy and end early every day.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for the donation, Grey Knight.
Phones or the internet, he saw.
Fuck.
I mean, I don't know what I expected.
As we can see here, his lawyer hates Daniel because he's famous. Realistically, or the
It's confirmed, and there's even conversations in my legal discovery over social media where Tina has admitted to talking with me, which is true, where she's told me to stop listening to the trolls.
Somehow, Tina saying the same thing as Daniel's lawyer, which was that he never spoke to any of the Vanderwalls ever, became her telling him to not listen to the trolls. Conspicuously, he doesn't mention the letter from Dave, which I assume can be chalked up to him forgetting that he even told that lie in the first place. After this, Daniel explains how he can't be held liable for any of his threats because he was homeless and trying to survive. I don't know how threatening to blow up a disabled care facility makes homelessness more bearable, but to each their own. It did seem like his inability to hook himself up to an IV drip of trolls did make him slightly more articulate, but the side effect of this is that his lack of confusion almost makes him realize that the lies he's telling make no sense. For example,
So Tina wanted me to cut ties with Grace and stop talking to the impersonators and only talk to Grace. What Grace was doing was she was getting me in contact with her management behind Tina's back. Grace got me in contact with everybody. You see what I mean?
based on this drivel alone, you can imagine why his public defender cut contact with him since August.
So Tina wanted me to cut ties with Grace and stop talking to the impersonators and only talk to Grace. What Grace was doing.
Oh, Jesus.
That's great. No, it's not, Richard. Now we have to watch you sit there with a zombie face staring off into the abyss and sighing every 30 seconds and almost fainting from reaching for your diet CDs. Please eat normally, OMG. Stream is so boring now, dude.
Fine. Have it your way. Thanks for the donation, Grey Knight. What a bitch. Oh, what a bitch. I really, I really wish mail could get delivered on the fucking weekend. It's fucking bullcrap.
see? You just stared at the wall for a whole minute before whispering incoherently and rubbing traps now cuz in pain cuz you don't eat and body is suffering for nutrients and is dying. Just eat food, dude. You can cut on a smaller deficit. Stop dumb.
Yeah, what up, dude? Hello?
Can't hear me?
Just heard you now. What's up?
Okay. Yeah, man. Going well. How are you?
Not too bad.
Um, so essentially, man, I posted a video recently. I don't know if you saw it on Instagram, but I was just calling out this dude. He's this like, what's his name? I don't know, some plant-based guy. Essentially, I called him a fake ass vegan because in his video he essentially it was like him saying it's okay for vegans to do a list of things, right? And the first two things is essentially feed non-vegan food to family members and friends, as well as feed the species appropriate diet to companion animals. So anyway, I made a video in response to that, just calling him a fake ass vegan. How would you like it if it was done to you, etc., etc. And I didn't go easy on him because it pissed me off. But of course, I'm getting a big wave of vegans just kind of like essentially flooding the comment section just with like, this isn't right, blah blah blah. You shouldn't be labeling people this, we can't be the purity police, etc., etc. But look, I stand by my statement, of course, and you're a fake ass vegan if you say that that's okay. Like I couldn't be more.
Yeah.
Like I stand by that. And I'm sure you would as well. I'm not really here to question you on that. But I guess the main thing now that's just kind of been on my mind, and I'm pretty sure I have the answer to it. I want to get your thoughts on it. I guess it's really about the how do we categorize whether somebody is technically a fake vegan versus a real vegan? And I know it should be pretty straightforward.
They don't apply human and animal rights equally.
Yeah, exactly. I guess where this has taken me is the extent to which animal products, animal exploitation is in our life systemically, right? Like whether we're talking trace amounts in electronics, medicine, etc., etc. And then I know that there's a big difference. I'm pretty sure I have the right answer in my brain, but I just want to get like when somebody says, like, for example, how can you go around being the vegan police, labeling somebody a fake ass vegan, and they'll say the words like, but they're still trying, they're still trying to do good, when you yourself still take part in some forms of animal exploitation, such as, in electronics, which are literally everywhere in our life. I just want to get how you would respond to that and compare it to like what I've been thinking.
What fucking electronics have animal products?
I'm pretty sure most electronics would use some type of trace amounts in there. Even like things like bitumen, roads. I mean, we could even get onto animal testing and medicine. Let's see.
Well,
I just did a
assuming
little
any
bit
of
of
that's
research.
true,
Yeah.
well, like the issue is, one, I don't know how I'd necessarily avoid some of these things, and two, the degree to which like me using these things would contribute to a rights violation would be like incredibly minuscule, like some of these examples.
Yeah. I think, for example, electronics, they use stearic acid, stearates. even some things like even casein. It's pretty crazy if this is all true. Like casein for some plastics, adhesives, gelatin. I mean, look, these things are, whether they're in electronics or not, they are technically probably everywhere because whilst plant-based derivatives exist right now, synthetic versions of these, they cost just a slight amount more that companies are just going to get these things from slaughterhouses, which probably could be argued are actually byproducts in this circumstance. I doubt that. I would wonder if they're paying absolutely anything for this type of stuff in the amounts that they need. Um, but regardless, I think what I was going to say is, well, yeah, I would agree and just say that this isn't, first of all, consumer demand driven. It's a big difference between that and, say, the fucking pet food industry, um, which is most definitely a co-product from a slaughterhouse. But regardless, even if they, um, even if there were larger amounts of, say, like let's say in our phone there was the equivalent of like one meal for a cat, right? Just like as an animal product meal. I think the real difference here is one being a systemic thing that isn't consumer driven, whilst the other one is. Whereas even if we lived in it, if the world went vegan tomorrow, and people were still feeding animal products, slaughterhouses would have to exist. But if the world went vegan tomorrow, these trace amounts that are found in all these other products would just immediately have to probably transfer to the synthetic versions because slaughterhouses aren't going to exist for these trace amounts. I would assume. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I guess I do have another hypothetical I could question you, but like, what are your thoughts on that in general?
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah. Um, I guess probably another way to frame it, and I don't think it changes the answer at all, would just be putting a human in the circumstance. So it's like, well, actually, maybe it's a question of necessity. So let's say, because we would say using our phone would say is like a social necessity, I guess. Ignoring the fact that we just made the claim that it's not consumer driven or whatever, I just want to go down this line of reasoning. So let's say we do have a choice when it comes to using some of these things, at least. We could opt to not use a phone, even though it would be massively inconvenient. And we already know that it isn't consumer driven, but give the benefit of the doubt, I just want to go down this road. We could choose not to do it in the same way somebody that has a cat can choose not to do it, even if it goes to the point where, let's say, that cat really cannot survive, hypothetically. Well, then we would argue that it's still more ethical to euthanize the cat than to murder multiple animals. Well, in the same circumstance, whilst it is onto the corporations to change with things such as these, trace amount of animal products, or maybe not trace amounts even, like if we're talking about bitumen, I mean, there's so much road. I mean, it probably adds up over several kilometers of road making, which we do technically pay for, and we could opt not to pay for roads, Well, I guess if that's taxes, but here in Australia, we do pay for road to use the roads. Um, what's stopping us from just not using it and protesting that way or boycotting it in that way? What would you say?
Like, it's just extremely abstract and not a valuable use of time.
Mm. But you,
Like,
you
you're
would say that
protesting
isn't
the
a
building of a
yeah.
fucking road because of like one small ingredient. It's
Yeah.
like the thing that is really driving all this is just meat industry. So
Yeah, of course. That's right. So it really comes down to the fact that. So I guess it goes back to the question of, can someone? We know the answer. Can we be going around labeling people fake ass vegans if they're going to use animal products to feed their companion animals versus somebody like everybody who has to rely on this systemic forms of animal exploitation, even if just in trace amounts in society?
yeah,
Yeah, that's right. I would agree with that because it's just a big difference. There's a massive difference between, especially when you've got somebody saying it's okay to exploit animals for your friends and family and companion animals versus somebody who would obviously, a real vegan would say, no, what the fuck, it's never okay. Even if in a circumstance where they literally couldn't survive without it, first of all, you would never say it's okay. Like, what the fuck? Like that in itself is bad enough, but then obviously, and I would probably speak a little bit differently about somebody who is in a situation where they've gone vegan, but they still have a cat right now. They're like a really sick cat or whatever. They just struggle to eat anyway. So the chances you're going to get them to go vegan can, like, easily. Not that I agree with this, because I would try everything I can regardless. But I wouldn't just outright call that person a fake ass vegan because they've just found themselves in this situation. Like there's context. You know, I was calling this guy a fake ass vegan because he's fucking standing there smiling, saying it's okay to do these things. Big difference. But of course, everybody misinterprets that and just doesn't see the nuance in the way I'd talk to somebody in a different situation and try to talk them out of it a little bit more with a bit more understanding. But look, this is just the way social media works, so there's not much you can do about that. What about animal testing, bro? Like, would you say this is the same thing when there's laws that kind of make this animal testing systemic within medicines, and some medicines being completely unnecessary, really, like Panadol, if you paracetamol, if you think about it, we don't have to, even though they do test on animals, we don't have to have that. Versus something that you might be in a life-saving situation
Well,
where
the
you have to
U.S.
rely on a
government just
medicine that
got rid of the animal testing mandate. I think that was like
for
2 or
real.
3 years ago.
Oh wow. So okay, I don't know what it's like in Australia. I have to figure that one out. So, but I guess okay, let's talk about another country that still has it. I mean, would you just say it's the same as the other situation I was explaining with like trace amounts and electronics and stuff like that?
Well, if you're talking about animal testing, whether or not it's ethical to buy a medicine that used animal testing, the only way to get rid of animal testing is to change the law. Not taking the medication isn't going to change anything.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's all I had on my head as well. So I really think it's just going to come down to that. I will keep calling people fake ass vegans if they are. Well, yeah, man, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. How was I watched your conversation with Gary. That was a good one. It's good to see him back, eh?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. I think I hope he sticks around for the long run, not just, for the short term, because I think people like him. I think we need people like him. He's creating a lot of stir. If anything, he's motivating me to get back out on the street as well, which it's cool. When are you going to be doing outreach, man? Are you getting out on the street anytime soon?
I don't know. It's like I don't have anybody to really film with and shit, so.
Yeah. Stick up a GoPro, tape it to a tree.
I don't know. Who's gonna watch it? Just gonna look like shit.
Yeah, fair enough, man. All right, man. Well, thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Take care.
All right, take it easy.
$21st it's like watching two fat Jasmines fight. How do they expect to take down an actual dangerous criminal? Is this a joke, don't they?
I really. Oh my god! Okay. No, I'm just kidding. Fuck! I got no video! Taser! Ah!
Alright, thanks.
Was she getting me in contact with her management? behind Tina's back. Grace got me in contact with everybody.
Even if Grace herself told him she's never spoken to him in his life, he'd find a way to retcon it and convince himself otherwise. I would include more of this particular rant, but it's so schizophrenically meaningless that there's barely anything of value. Basically, Daniel thought that Tina was going to set him up with a $35 million record deal, but his family intervened and said it was fake. I don't know what he means by family, since he has absolutely no family members he's in contact with, so maybe he means Bob. When Sippy manages to get a word in edgewise, he tries to convince Daniel to act sane so that he gets out of jail sooner rather than later. This was Daniel's response.
Nobody's telling me why I'm incompetent. Nobody has been telling me anything. They've been saying that I've been doing things very well and I shouldn't even be in custody. That's the word from the jail.
What Daniel doesn't realize is that everyone's treating him nicely precisely because he's clearly out of his mind, not because they think he's normal. Once again, Sippy tries to set Daniel on a path toward being declared competent, but it fails miserably.
You should probably just not mention Grace or Tina to any of the psychiatrists, because I don't think that's really going to help your case.
I don't think it's helping either. Yeah. Like, I asked my lawyer for verification on if it was really the real Tina.
And he said no?
And he said no, which is weird because it's confirmed that, yes, it was actually them. I'm not saying that there was a fake involved. I was definitely at one point in contact.
Eventually, after enough tries, Sippy manages to get Daniel to say the real reason he's not willing to do what he's saying and simply stop mentioning Grace to his lawyers.
And I don't want you to sit in Springfield indefinitely. So, there's the old saying, you fake it till you make it. You just got to, realize what makes you sound crazy and not say that and just fake it until you can be found competent and then just, take a plea deal. And you've already sat for a long time. They'll probably just give you time served.
I'm afraid that I'm going to have to plead guilty because the thing is, if I plead guilty, then I don't think I can be with Grace. Grace wants me to travel with her. She goes to London all the time. She goes to Paris. There are certain countries, if I have a felony, I cannot go to.
It's amazing to see that the lies about him going on tour with Grace culminated in him deliberately screwing up his case because he was afraid he wouldn't be able to travel with her. Daniel then explains the legal strategy he intended to follow.
So if you do end up being found competent, you're going to try to go to trial and beat get a not guilty verdict on the allegations?
That's what we're trying, and my lawyer has told me that we're trying to get a not guilty. He thinks I'm a victim. As far as trying to make everything work with the Vanderwalls, that's what I'm concerned about now. Because I told my lawyer I'm not going to plead guilty, and I'm not going to even make a decision until I know what's going on with Grace.
Based on this, I'd say that if he ever does get declared competent to stand trial, he will probably get a worse sentence than if he just pled guilty. Imagine he actually puts himself in a position where, during the proceedings, he needs to explain to the judge he actually is Grace Vanderwall's boyfriend and needs to consult her on his defense. The worst part about this is not that Daniel proceeds to explain to Sippy that he's considering cutting Bob off due to him not being helpful with his career and publicity, and that he's planning to only be in contact with the Vanderwalls from now on. The thing is, for the months he's been in jail now, besides Sippy and Clark, the only person Daniel's spoken to has been Bob. There hasn't been a single troll who has continued to keep up the Grace facade at this point. Daniel is fully communicating with the voices in his head to keep the illusion up. Near the end of the call, he says this.
I also know that most of Grace's songs are about me. I've been listening to a lot of her songs.
I think we are nearing the final form of Schizo Daniel, as he barely needs to put in any effort in order to come up with all kinds of insane beliefs. Unlike Clark, who drip it.
If Bill Nye jizzed in your butthole, could you say that you fully internalized Nye's jism?
Sure, why not? Thanks for the donation, Gigliardo.
Fed the community with nothing burger calls where he made no effort at all to make it entertaining. Sippy was at least trying to get something out of Daniel. And over the course of the next few days, we get a bunch of new calls, each more deranged than the previous. The same day as the first Sippy call happened, Daniel comes back to complain about Bob.
So, he's manipulating, right, a lot of my finances, which is why I was homeless. He was also trying to control, everything I did, as far as the type of music I wanted to do, the types of songs that I want to do, but, some lyrics he wouldn't want me to put in. All this issue that I'm in is partially because of him. It's been confirmed that I am the victim in the case.
On one hand, Daniel being free again would be very entertaining, but on the other, when you see him talk like that about the only person who has consistently helped him throughout his life, you realize that they just gotta put this guy in a padded cell and throw away the key. And more, it seems like that's how it's gonna end.
Yeah, they've been trying to say that I'm not in contact, including, law enforcement. Law enforcement, including my lawyer, has been trying to turn me against Grace. And my own public defender is on purpose trying to turn me against Grace and trying to say that I'm not in contact when I've been fighting my case, arguing over the phone with my public defender. Look, I have been in contact and I don't care what you're saying.
Credit where credit is due. It doesn't seem Sippy enables his delusions too much, even if he doesn't press Daniel on it. Instead, he tries to change the topic to Danderson's jail routine, which seems to be very erratic. He apparently spent prolonged periods locked up without yard time, and whenever he did get yard time, it was very inconsistent and unpredictable. And to make matters worse, he got access to a tablet. More specifically, he claims he lied to his family, presumably Bob, in order to get $150 to buy a tablet. While he couldn't post anything from it, I'm sure he was looking at some stuff that, in the classic Daniel Larson lingo, made it sting like he was peeing. I think his inability to talk to his public defender drove him to start generating his own fanfiction about what was going on with his trial.
So what I do know is Grace ordered the psych eval. So Grace is the one who ordered it. It wasn't the judge. Tina got notified that I got arrested.
But Grace wasn't the most high-profile person getting themselves tangled up with Daniel, as Donald Trump himself was also paying attention.
So what was it that you emailed me about? You said something like Joe Biden wants you to be vice president, or so he can lower the age?
So apparently, I'm still learning this, but one of the correction officers came up to me here at the jail and talked to me about how Donald Trump
wanted me to be his vice president, because if he becomes president and I'm vice president, he can make it legal for me to be vice president at my age.
I don't know why Daniel seems eager to demote himself from his real position of president to become Trump's VP. Must be some kind of strategy I'm not seeing here. Maybe he wants to be the shadow ruler of the land, who knows. Up until this point in the calls, Sippy was pretty straightforward with Daniel, even if he occasionally tried to get a rise out of him and make him say something funny. But over the next few calls, it's clear that Sippy began encouraging and enabling Daniel's delusions, much like Clark did. Besides the usual repetitive nonsense, there were a couple of funny moments that came out of it, such as the pivot of Daniel's music career.
I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but there's these very famous rappers called Chief Keef and Lil Durk, and they just went on the Joe Rogan podcast, and they basically said how much they want to collab with you. They want to do a collaboration, like an EP. Chief Keef and, have you ever heard of them?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
I used to have contact with them.
Really?
So that confirms things even more. That's crazy.
Despite the more lax approach, Sippy still occasionally tried to get Daniel to do what most likely would lead to him getting released earlier rather than later, but with no success.
A public defender told me that I don't have to necessarily get on medication. If I don't want to, there's like other resources and classes I can take. On is a big factor on
Just lying here, so he can explain why he has no intention of being medicated. The call after this one consists mostly of Sippy terrorizing Daniel over the phone by pretending he's playing a recording of Daniel's trial, only to play audio of an investigator reading the search history of the Parkland shooter, which has things so disgusting that they're not even worth mentioning. Of course, Daniel falls for it and thinks the recording is real, probably because he's made some similarly suspect Google searches in the past, as my previous videos on him have gone over. In one of Sippy's bouts of enabling Daniel, he brings Josh Block into the picture, claiming that he's been trying to plagiarize Daniel's music in order to seduce Grace, and this is how Daniel reacts.
No, this explains everything. Like, I'm a victim of everything. I shouldn't even be in custody altogether.
Sippy began hating each other because both wanted to be the sole emissary of Daniel. Eventually, their conflict boiled over into Sippy apparently sending letters to Clark's
These are some of the gayest, most dumbass, retard face tattoos I've ever fucking seen in my life. If you see anybody with face tattoos like this, do not hire them. Do not let them into your place of business. Do not be their friend. Just leave. This guy's a degenerate fucking retard.
Address, harassing him and his family, and Clark posting footage of Sippy's arrest. This wasn't revealed by Clark, but it had become a point of contention that Sippy had a criminal record prior to his interactions with Daniel. On the 17th of the same month the calls took place, Sippy made an AMA where he spoke about his criminal past because, according to him, he got in a fight with a teenager when he was 17. This got him convicted of misdemeanor battery and disorderly conduct. And although his story mostly...
Black holes are God. They are incomprehensible. They are all-consuming, not indifferently, but out of a sublime longing and affection for what it lacks, what it isn't. Think about it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, sure. Thanks for the donation, retard.
seems to check out. It made people a lot more skeptical of him, especially considering that in the same AMA, he said, "I don't idolize mass shooters. I have an interest in history, including true crime history, and occasionally I document that on the internet. The judge thinks I am a threat based on some old accusations from 2017 of school-related threats of violence, similar to the accusations leveled against Blark a decade or so ago, which he, of course, later confessed to, which were never proven against me, coupled with some other circumstances that would take way too long to explain. There are also...
Yeah, I watched Frank Tufano yesterday.
A few other claims floating around in the Daniel Larson wiki and subreddit that Sippy has tried to alter his page on the wiki in his favor, as well as supposedly having been charged a few more times with unlawful...
from.
A few days...
But you don't think that some...
hotel room for 1 or 2 days, only to go homeless and be without food again right after. Clearly, this was Bob's way of forcing him to be homeless. I think it's around this point that Bob becomes aware of what Daniel has been saying about him on the Sippy calls, because it appears he stopped sending him money.
He told me to stop talking to... Stop
charges on the U.S. government and Bob.
I'm outsmarting the courts, and they're just making me look like a flippin' idiot. And at this
You
point...
definitely are. I think it's obvious that you're smarter than the prosecutor, the judge, and everybody at this point. They're the ones making a fool out of themselves.
That the tablet definitely didn't mysteriously break, Daniel probably punched that thing in a fit of rage. For the first time in months of him being in jail, you can actually hear the despair in his voice setting in as he starts coming up with increasingly insane hallucinations.
I still haven't figured out my Colorado State ID that got stolen because the guy who stole it looked just like Jacob Sartorius, the Disney Channel star. Now I don't know who I'm going to date.
So you think that might be Jacob Sartorius undercover or in disguise?
Possibly. That's what I believe, and I've been trying to expose him for years because Grace made it clear that she wants to be with me. Even in my legal discovery, I have pictures of Grace that she sent me where it's kind of weird, but she spelled my name on the paper on top of the picture.
At least, Grace will actually get on Jacob's podcast. I think it'll be the last straw for Daniel, so every police station in the world better say their prayers.
So, Grace is not in
contact with you, she doesn't want the relationship. The person in my disability counselor to somebody claiming
increasingly insane and becoming more self-destructive as a consequence.
psychiatric here at this jail is telling me that my mental health is doing better, but I'm in my cell every single night punching the living crap out of myself. On purpose, beating myself up to where I have cuts and bruises all over my skin and all over my body.
Additionally, the lawsuit papers he had put together to sue Bob and the U.S. government was refused by the jail's mail service, who just handed Daniel's papers back, which he claims is because he couldn't fill them out. Given he has no access to a printer or anything like that to even begin putting together the kind of paperwork you'd need to file a lawsuit, I have no idea what he even tried to mail. For all I know, he was mailing gay furry fan art to Bob or something. When November ended and December began, in a call to Clark, Daniel made a very dark claim.
Turning into definitely me being taken advantage of, and I'm not going to let that slide. Your cellmate was with a previous cellmate that did rape me, but I retorted it.
What would he touch you? What the hell, Daniel?
Well, there was a lot more than just that, but he held me down and went and met me or whatever and tried to do some stuff, but I reported it.
We should keep in mind that even here, he may be lying for attention, as he has falsely claimed he'd suffered from that kind of thing before. But given that he's in a PC jail with other criminals of that persuasion, and that he was in debt to some of them, it's not impossible. After this call, the communications died down significantly, and for a couple of weeks, there are no new phone calls. There are, however, some emails, where Daniel announced he'd been packed up for transfer as he was getting ready to go to a facility in Springfield, Oklahoma. But most importantly, he made an announcement in classic Daniel Larson style. Emergency. The feds are trying to get me to cut ties with my dad, and Bob, and Tina, and Grace. They were now telling me to quit my career, and Bob is a troll, as well as my dad. My lawyer told me to stop. I also got on new meds because they came up with an excuse for my latuda. Also, I guess Tina called the jail and told me to stop calling. Be careful of lies going around that I don't shower, because I shower 2 times a day and brush my teeth 3 times a day. I might get a pardon from Biden or Trump because I am an independent off. It makes even more sense if he was actively trying to call Grace and Tina from the jail. Lastly, I am absolutely calling cap on Daniel showering 2 times a week, let alone once a day. A little while after this call, there was another couple of phone calls made to Clark where it's revealed that Bob was still paying for Daniel's phone bill, which I'm assuming means he was sending Daniel money to get some other electronic phone equivalent for his new jail's commissary. A day prior to Christmas, Daniel got transferred to Grady County, and soon after to the Medical Center for Federal Prisoners in Springfield, where his evaluation would finally begin. There was another Clark call right before he went to the medical center, but it's not worth playing since not much is said, and the audio quality is absolutely terrible.
Going public about everything all of a sudden.
But one of the few noteworthy pieces of info that came out of it was that Daniel was now on a 23-hour lockdown, meaning he only had 1 hour of yard time per day and no access to a phone or even books, meaning he was likely going nuts again because of it. Because his evaluation began, it meant that his case wasn't going to get dismissed anytime soon, as it would keep getting postponed indefinitely until he was declared competent. For many people, this transfer to the MCFP sealed Daniel's fate, as he was probably going to stay there for the rest of his life, as there was no way he was ever going to be deemed competent. As the months went by and no more calls came from Daniel to anyone at all, we can safely assume that they just didn't allow for their inmates to take calls, or at the very least, that Daniel in specific lacks that privilege due to how tied the deterioration of his mental state is to contact with the outside world. His court case has been regularly getting updates since then, as the records of it are publicly accessible. However, we can see that many of them have been restricted or classified, again, probably to deter any outsider from knowing too much about the ongoings and intervening somehow. In January, SIPI attempted to legally unseal the records, but the motion was denied, meaning whoever's in charge has been made aware of Daniel's online infamy and the kind of attention that it attracts. As far as communications with the outside world are concerned, the last one happened through a handwritten letter Daniel wrote to SIPI. This is Daniel. Just to let you know, the jail has blocked all my calls with my lawyer and family. I can send letters. Can you please keep sending me updates? I'm now on medication. Can you please keep sending me pics? Would you also be able to buy 3 books for me to read? On the other side of the letter, Daniel names 3 erotica books he wants SIPI to buy him, and promises to pay him back. This is Daniel's seemingly one lifeline with the outside, and he uses it to ask for free Zorn books. What an unbreakable specimen.
Hello everyone, this is Daniel Larson. I am thinking of becoming transgender.
Even since this letter, there's no known communication, and although his court proceedings continue getting updated, there's no sign that a conclusion to his case is coming soon. In late April, Clark reappeared in the subreddit, and despite no solid evidence whatsoever, he made the claim that Daniel had been declared competent for trial. But this is quite unlikely since he's still in the same mental health facility, and his stay appears to have been extended. Now, if he does eventually get declared competent to stand trial, and believe me, he might be, he will probably get released on time served due to how long he's been in lockup. In order for him to be declared competent for trial, he doesn't need to necessarily dishevel himself from all his delusions about Grace. He just needs to be able to understand his legal circumstances, and especially now that he's on meds, it's definitely not impossible. On the other hand, he's been there for half a year at this point with no significant updates, so it may well be over for Danderson. After years of being sandblasted by the cold winds of Colorado, he's finally found housing, in a mental hospital, no less. Perhaps this is where he belongs.
You're just a young kid. What are you doing here? You gotta
He should never be let out, ever.
be out in a convertible while bird dogging chicks and banging beaver. What are you doing here, for Christ's sake?
Now, what I find suspicious is I've heard rumors that Grace Vanderwall has an OnlyFans account.
Hopefully, they're keeping Daniel away from electronics so he can't drive himself insane again. In the silent hiatus while Daniel's in
Daniel Fart Son. 777 duovigintillion 777 unvigintillion 777 vigintillion 777 novemdecillion 777 octodecillion 777 septendecillion 777 sexdecillion 777 quindecillion 777 quatuordecillion 777 77 tridecillion 877 duodecillion 777 undecillion 777 decillion 777 nonillion 777 octillion 777 septillion 777 sextillion 777 quintillion 777 quadrillion 777 trillion 777 billion 777 million 777,778. Daniel fart son 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 Daniel and Fida son Daniel fart son Daniel fart.
Alright, thanks for the donation, retard. Appreciate it.
In jail, thousands of people on TikTok have either started actively pretending that Daniel is free while re-uploading older content of his, or have fallen for it and unknowingly spread the misinformation that he's been let out. Some people have even catfished and scammed others using Daniel's image. Worse yet is that a few people, whether ironically or not, have become admirers of Daniel, like he's a K-pop artist they stan, praying that he goes free soon. While I fully expected Daniel to become more insane as a consequence of his jail time, I did not expect his followers to also suffer the same fate. If he ever gets mentally well enough to be released, Bob's the one who's going to need to look for housing. I've been Turkey Tom. Thanks for watching.
Hopefully he never, ever gets released and is allowed out in public.
VGY the long face. You need to find a smoking hot chick on a BDSM forum and dominate them with ferocious power. Make them kneel. Have them roll over and you can pet them when they're a good kitty. Collar them and drag them around the house naked.
I don't want anything to do with anybody. Thanks for the donation, retard. Why is the fucking... What a fucking dickhead. Wait, is this? Oh no. Okay. Oh, do I have to use it wired? Why? Why in the... What the fuck happened here? What an I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, sure. Uh-huh. Did I just lose health from attacking the fucking enemy?
Did Trump make a post about Epstein like 20 minutes ago on Truth Social? Yes. What's going on with my boys and in some cases gals? They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is doing a fantastic job. Did he know I was doing this segment right now? So, Epstein, you heard about him? Not a great guy. Not from what I've heard, no. Never met him myself, unlike basically half the people in government.
Sparage got caught, donate $2. What are your strategies to stay motivated to do schoolwork? I'm not in high school. I'm 34. I don't know why the fuck you'd ask me that question.
It seems. Obviously, the Trump administration is covering up the Epstein files. If they had them to begin with, they might be locked under Fort Knox for all we know. But the Trump administration has either decided or been told to drop it because the whole point of Epstein was that it implicates a bunch of powerful people. You don't want to do that, right? Like, it's nice to conspiracy bait and win office because of it, but it doesn't actually work in the long run, especially because the president was, you know, the main Epstein guy. So I'm interested in seeing how the Democrats tackle this. Older Democrats, you know, like Schumer or Pelosi or whatever, people who are friends with Bill Clinton, they will never really lean on this, you know? They won't after Clinton dies either. They're fully aware of—
Shut up! Oh my god! I'm done. I gotta go. I'm just gonna go to bed. Well, big thanks to everybody who donated in Streamlabs. Appreciate it. I might be on later. I've got to just chill out. But thanks again, everybody. Take care.